Kia ora and welcome to the New Zealand Powerlifting Podcast. For those of you that are first-time listeners, this is a podcast based on powerlifting in New Zealand, predominantly in the NZPF, where we generally like to preview competitions that go on in the NZPF. So, we haven't done one of these for a while. It's been a couple of years. Last year, the NZPF preview was done through the Back to Square One podcast. So it's been a while, and there's been a few changes since the last podcast. And this time around, I have two new co-hosts that will be helping me preview the Nationals for 2022. So, let me introduce you to my two new co-hosts. I know you've all been desperately waiting to find out who they are. So to the left of my screen, I have 2015 Junior National Champ, 2016 Junior National Champ, and Oceania Junior Champ from 2016, who's actually probably been powerlifting longer than most of us have actually been lifting. So unless you haven't already guessed it, that is Jack Tan. Give us a big kia ora, Jack.
Kia ora, guys. Thanks for having me on board, Jason. I think it's just really great that you've got like two of the best lifters in New Zealand.
Hey, don't give away the other one yet.
It always sucks when your business partner ditches you, eh?
Yeah, well, used to it, eh? All right, and then to the right of my screen, we have... let me pull up my notes here real quick. Actually, I didn't make any. I think... Let me guess. I'm going to do it off the top of my head. 2017, 18, 19, 20 national champ, and 2018 junior world champion, and 2022 fourth place getter at IPF World Champs, Evie Corrigan, aka the champ.
2022 Twitch streamer.
Oh yeah, and if you're watching this, then yeah, she's about to start a Twitch stream.
Just adding, another credential to my name.
How are you, Evie?
I'm good. I'm really excited to do a very different kind of podcast. Talk about everyone else's lifting.
Yeah, I'm sure you're used to, everybody asking you about your lifts, so it'll be nice to...
Nobody cares about what I'm doing, and we get to talk about everyone else.
Hurrah. Yeah, so as Evie kind of alluded to, today we're going to run through the 2022, it's kind of hard to say, 2022 NZPF Nationals. It's actually, I think, the biggest Nationals the NZPF has hosted ever. I actually went through and had a look. I think I even did like a little spreadsheet on it, and I never even, or maybe I did. I can't even remember.
I think every year we're getting bigger and bigger. I don't think we've gone backwards at any time.
Yeah.
I think there was one year that we may have split with, a certain other federation. We might have.
We can say
backwards.
that. Yeah, we're powerlifting. We're honest.
We went backwards after that slightly, I think, but
yeah,
we're firmly on the up and up now.
2019 was a small drop, and then, if I'm not mistaken, I think we went up in 2020 when we were at Christchurch, hosted by CPA, and then we've jumped up even more this year. Actually, to be honest, I thought the numbers would be a little bit higher. I think we're about 256 or something like that.
I think it's less than that. I thought it was going to be higher too, but
yeah,
that's all right.
Somewhere in that range. It's definitely the largest ever, so it's still going to be a massive event. So we wanted to, well, I wanted to at least build a little bit of a hype around the event and just kind of give everyone an idea of what the fuck's going on, because I think it's been hard to keep track of powerlifting, especially like in New Zealand over the last few years, especially when we didn't have a national champs last year. So I actually want to get your guys' perspective on that before we go into this year. So obviously, for those of you that don't know, in 2021, Nationals was intended to be hosted by Southern Powerlifting down in Invercargill. We got through day one, we got through the Masters lifting, and during the lifting, New Zealand as a whole went into a level 4 lockdown, and essentially everyone was sent home. Well, kind of sent. We didn't end up going home, but everyone was locked down as of the next day, and the whole event was cancelled. We tried to, I guess, optimistically reorganize another event. We kind of had planned to host it later in the year in Auckland, but obviously, if you're in New Zealand, you'd know that lockdown ended up going for quite a bit longer, all the way up until December. So I actually want to get, just to give like a little bit of context behind everything, like I'd like to get your guys just like feelings with how all that went, and kind of how that affected the way you guys were training and how you just like approached and felt about powerlifting, and how that's kind of developed into where you are now and how you're feeling going into this Nationals. Because I'll be honest, like I was very skeptical with where powerlifting in New Zealand was going to be this year. I thought the numbers would be down a lot. There's kind of extenuating circumstances that have bumped that back up, but yeah, I'm keen to hear from both of you. So like Jack, I'd be keen to hear your thoughts on that, because obviously you've done a lot of national champs before, and you've spent a lot of time in the sport.
That prep was probably one of the best preps I've ever had. Like just every week, boom, boom, smashing all my numbers, no injuries, like feeling good. And then, yeah, like it was pretty soul crushing to have it cancelled, and then like not have nothing to show for it, not knowing like what I achieved from that prep. However, you mentioned like how it affected me going into the following year. After being locked in for about 3 months, I couldn't wait to get back and start training. So I don't think if anything, it like gave me more fire to train. And like, yeah, so going into this year, to be honest, like I actually wanted to do Aucklands, and the only reason I didn't do it was no one was doing Aucklands, and I didn't want to be the only person doing Aucklands. So opted out of that to do North Islands, and then do North Islands.
Yeah.
Jack.
Evie, can you pull your microphone away from your mouth a little bit? It's just like, can hear you breathing. Yeah. In case everyone wants to know what that is.
He's a mouth breather.
Yeah, Evie's heavy breathing. Maybe just a little bit more. Yeah, I think your head's too small. Hi, John. Can you tell Evie to stop breathing so heavily?
Breathing too heavily into the microphone.
Yeah, so I think that's interesting, Jack. Like, I think that is probably testament to just how long you've been in the sport as well. I mean, like, what, 10 years now?
Nah,
Well, it's on Open Powerlifting. It's got your first comp in 2012.
2012? Yeah.
10 years.
It was the end of 2012, so it'll be my 10
Oh, yeah, fair. So, like, it makes sense that you'd stay in it because, you've always done it, basically.
Yeah, and like, I guess, a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot, but yeah, some people were heavily demoralized and didn't come back. And that's not surprising. It's especially when you've like invested so much like mentally and physically into it, and it's like you've got nothing to show for it. It's like, what have I done for the last year? So it's very understandable.
Evie, how about you?
I think similarly to Jack, it was a really good prep going in, so it was pretty frustrating to not really get to express that strength. And I think also we all kind of thought that it wasn't going to be as long as it was. Like, no one expected it to be that long, so there was that feeling of like, oh yeah, maybe we will get to hold a comp, maybe we will get a chance, and then like having that taken away, I mean, it kind of killed I was lucky, like we were lucky we had some gear, so I was still training, but it definitely sort of killed my motivation, and I ended up at like 61 kilos, so that sort of changed things a bit coming back the next year. But I think, we've had several years of disruptions now, and it's definitely like there are probably some people who may not come back at all. But I think as we start to get into the swing of things again, more and more people are going to come back and start competing, and I think it's only going to be up from here.
Are you guys like? Are you seeing that? I'm like. I'm just actually realizing as I'm talking, I probably should introduce myself because there's so many new lifters now that they probably don't even fucking know who I am. I shouldn't expect them to know who I am. Anyway, don't worry about that. But like I'm seeing, or at least like kind of at the start of the year, I saw quite a few people who dropped off as competition started to happen again, and like a bit of momentum start to regather in powerlifting. People were coming back. Not everyone. We lost a few, but we lose a few people anyway. So, like, do you guys find you're seeing that? Like, it's just starting to pick up again, with, like, Worlds happening. Like, I think that was a big one as well. That got a lot of people motivated, which was awesome to see. And obviously having New Zealand back competing was huge.
Yeah, I mean, even with that sort of, like, I guess it felt almost like a little bit too soon to be sending a team to Worlds, just because there was still quite a few restrictions, and, like, it was quite late for us to know for sure that we were going to be able to go and come back. But I think the bonus of that has definitely been that, like, it's lit a fire under a lot of people being like, actually, Worlds is back on. Like, I want to go next year, so I need to get my A into G and start competing so that I can qualify.
Yeah, I think I 100% agree. And I just, like, even saw that with people that I work with was like, they're like, I want to do that. This looks awesome. And I think you didn't see that last year because there weren't Kiwis competing. And I think it's just like, you see someone at your local competition or you see them at nationals, and then you see them like on the live stream at Worlds, and it's like, it's a bit more real. You're like, I know that person. I could do that. And it's kind of inspiring, I guess, in a sense.
It is very inspiring, especially when you got like all the production value and you got the commentators talking about them and stuff like that.
Yeah, the hype of it. It opens up, it widens people's opportunities, like what's possible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
I was saying, in terms of overall participation, from like GS's perspective, like we are packed, man. There's so many new people like getting into the sport, so much fresh blood. People like super enthusiastic. So no, I don't think it's dying at all. Like it's
And actually, I mean, we can even just look at the novice comp that was held recently, and like having to cap numbers, which you could speak to more, Jason. But yeah, like. At sort of like both ends of the spectrum, like so many new people coming into the sport, but also so many people wanting to go to that high level as well.
Yeah, I think it's really actually interesting the sort of traction that we got for that novice comp. So we had a novice competition, which is like what we do in Auckland. Actually, all federations do that, don't they?
To a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah, to an extent. And we had 80 people over one day, where we usually get like 40 or 50 max. And it was just basically all new people, which was completely unexpected and awesome at the same time. But it was really interesting to see just how much that had, like how much traction that competition got. So I think that was a big unexpected sort of occurrence over the course of this year. I just didn't expect to see that yet. I thought maybe, give it a year or so, but to see that booming already was really interesting. And I actually want to touch on that towards the end. But so the reason why I wanted to bring that up is just to kind of like provide a little bit of context before we talk about this year's nationals, because I do think, like, I don't want to say people have been disadvantaged going into this year's nationals, but it hasn't been, and everyone in the world's in this sort of situation, but it's been a really fucking rocky road for a lot of people. And I think alongside that, even more recently, like, is a lot of sickness going around the country. Like, if you're listening to this and you're doing nationals and you haven't been sick yet, you're probably in the minority.
Do you know anyone that hasn't got COVID yet, like a powerlifter? Everyone's had it.
If you're listening to this podcast and you're not competing, you can take a drink every time we say this person got COVID or this person got sick.
Leave a comment in the comments below if you haven't got COVID yet.
Because legitimately, like, it's hit everyone, and I know a lot of people have been like, just kind of like really put off by it, thinking that, like, oh, they're not going to perform optimally because they got COVID or they got the flu seems to be going around a lot as well. And I think, what I've said to a lot of my lifters is like, fuck, everyone's getting this. So you were all kind of playing the same game here, and I wouldn't don't let it throw you, because we're all dealing with shit, and rarely does a prep for a competition go perfect anyway. But obviously COVID's just like another spanner in the works. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of like touch on that, because we'll probably talk about some people that haven't made a whole lot of progress, maybe from like even 2020, and it's not to shit on them or anything. It's just like, there's a lot of shit that's been going on in those couple of years. Like myself, for example, I haven't even been able to fucking lift anything heavy over the last couple of years, just because training has been so all over the place, and trying to rehab an injury is really hard when it's just inconsistent. So
I think you're probably one of the lucky ones if you have been able to make consistent progress over the last couple of years.
100%, yeah. And the other thing is, we've seen a lot of people just come out of nowhere, which is maybe not so much out of nowhere as it seems, because of the fact that we haven't been able to compete as much and things like that. So yeah, I think, all those things aside, it's going to be a really good nationals. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get stuck into this. So how are we going to do it this year? And if you are, for some reason, watching this on YouTube, you'll kind of see the nominations there on your screen. So we're going to kind of upload this to probably, or I'm going to definitely upload it to Spotify and potentially Apple Podcasts as well, if I can get that going. But we'll probably upload it to YouTube as well, just so you could follow along if you want. It's just a bit easier to have a look at the nominations. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through every session chronologically. So we'll start with the Monday morning and we'll finish with Friday morning. Yeah, that's right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get stuck into it. So I guess actually before I go too far, the competition itself is running. So we're recording this on the 27th of July, which is Friday, 22nd? Yeah. Which is Friday. Basically, we have all of next week, and then the weekend, and then the competition starts.
Fuck, don't worry.
Yeah, I know. It's soon, eh? And then,
That's
yeah.
You were going to run Bulgarian for like 20 days straight.
Bro, you don't have 20 days.
I don't have 20 days.
So, yeah, the comp will run from Monday through to Friday, and it's hosted by Wellington Central Powerlifting Association. I got that wrong a few times in the live stream in 2020. Actually, when we were commentating Evie, and I kept getting ripped out because I kept saying Central Districts, which was a big fuck up on my behalf. But Wellington Central Powerlifting Association are hosting, and I'm very excited actually to see how it's all going to play out, because so far it seems like it's been really well run, and we haven't seen a Raw Nationals ever in the Central District, since the kind of Raw era, basically. Am I right in saying that, Jack?
You just said Central Districts.
Oh, fuck!
Yeah, I mean, in the 10 years I've been lifting, I haven't, maybe they used to do like Equipped back in the day. Yeah, I think I haven't been down there for nationals, and I've been wanting to go down there. Well, specifically Wellington, but yeah,
close enough.
Not gonna lie, we were all hoping for Wellington, but it's all right. Palmerston North, it is.
I can imagine like venue hireage and stuff in Wellington was probably.
Have you guys been to Palmy?
No.
Last time I was in Palmy was 2011 for volleyball nationals.
Hey, 11 years later, let's go. Returning champ. How'd you go?
At volleyball?
Yeah.
They got destroyed. Good experience.
Okay, anyway, let's kick this shit off. So, first session we're going to cover is the sub-junior and junior females. And then they're going to lift in Group A. all sub-juniors and juniors up till 52 and 63. And then in Group B is going to be the rest of the junior females. So, just kind of full disclosure, we will spend a little bit more time covering the open categories just because that's where the majority of the competition lies. But there is a few things to note, definitely, within these earlier sessions. So, before I get stuck into it, does anyone have any comments on this session? Any notes that they made?
Yeah, I do. But how do you want to do it? Do you just want to be like any noticeable people that stand out?
Yeah, basically in these earlier sessions, yeah. And then when we get into the more competitive stuff, we'll kind of get some hot takes on who might win and who might place where.
So in the sub-junior women, there's only 4, but I think what we're really looking for here is who's the pick for best overall sub-junior. And both Yasmin and Xaviera, I'm really hoping I said that right, are pretty close on points. They're only like a point away from each other. But I suppose the thing to note is that Yasmin's quite a new lifter, whereas Xaviera, for her, being very young, only 16, she's already had several years of competing under her belt, so it's probably likely that Yasmin might have put quite a bit more on her total at nationals.
Yeah, obviously, not much depth to the sort of sub-juniors, and I think it's kind of interesting. There's a pretty serious, this session is all sub-junior and junior females, and it's lacking a bit. There's not a lot of depth in the juniors or the sub-junior females.
Something to note, obviously, for the juniors is 2 of our highly ranked junior females will be not competing because they're going to Junior Worlds. So,
yeah,
which is Dana Yearley and Maddie McCoy.
Yeah. It's definitely lacking in those 2, who I think would be pushing for that best junior spot. But just on the sub-juniors, I think Xavier is, I think that's how you say it. She's been around for quite a while. I remember her at 2019 Nationals in Auckland. Chance of progression there's probably a little bit lower, but I think Yasmin, who's coached by Denzel, she's got a really good deadlift. So if that's kind of what she's looking for, then she'll probably have an opportunity to pull for best sub-junior. I think she has the national record at 170. And I'm sure she'll be looking to improve upon that. I think from what I could see, it doesn't sound like her training has been blowing up or anything. I think she pulled about 165 the other day. And I'm sure she'll just be looking to kind of solidify those numbers at nationals and probably take out best sub-junior as well. Any takes there, Jack?
Not for me for this. Not for me for the sub-junior.
Yeah, cool. So, what about the juniors? You got much there?
Yeah, so the person that stands out for me here is Zoe. She used to train out of GS. I think she's put in just kind of low nominations there, but I put down here that she's got potential to break the squat record, which is at 155 at the moment, and also the deadlift record, which is 170.5, which is actually Veronica's.
I've seen her hit 150 in training on her story.
Yeah, so
yeah, but I think we're gonna get into it eventually. I think that the depth is quite borderline, so that's one thing that I would be.
I think she's
looking like she's definitely got the strength, but I think she needs to be squatting a bit deeper. So hopefully she has that sorted on the day.
I agree. I think Zoe's strong as shit. She's pretty seasoned as well, which is going to help. I know, her, squatting has always kind of been a bit borderline. But she's managed to usually pull it through, so I expect her to kind of rely on that sort of experience. But she does train at home. It's easy to kind of start to get into bad habits when you don't have other people kind of holding you accountable. I think, is she still coached by John?
She is.
Yeah, so John will be on to her about it, and he's going to be looking at it on the day as well. So I think if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to say this quite a bit throughout the podcast. If I'm recalling correctly, I think she's had a few issues kind of recently that has kind of slowed her progression up. I think those numbers there that are nominated, which are 137.5, 80, 162, I'm sure she'll go past that. I think she pulled like 165 the other day or something along those lines, and like Jack was saying, she's got a 150, so I think she's going to blow 380 out of the water. But I think in terms of like topping her best ever numbers, I think it's going to be kind of around there. I think that's just kind of the way it is with her training at the moment.
It's something we should keep in the back of our minds, is that the turnaround from North Islands to Nationals wasn't actually that long. So for a lot of people, they're probably not going to do more than their like nominated totals. That's my take. You don't have to agree with it, but that's gonna be my take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Just to discuss like points a bit and like who's going to take out the best overall junior woman. Zoe's sitting at 83.22 GL points, which is like pretty comfortable in front of the other junior women. But that said, there's Rowinia Luca from Waikato, who's at 81, and Charlotte Woolley from Southern, who's at 80, but she just posted a 450 training total on her Instagram, and it looked pretty tidy to me in terms of like comp standard, which would put her points around 85. So there could potentially be a bit of competition there.
Yeah, I saw that. Is it 450? Because what I saw was from Charlotte. This is Charlotte Woolley from Southern. So she's nominated 155, 95, 175, and she's in the under 84 kilo class. I saw 175, 105, and 180. So that's like, what, 20, 30, 35 kilos on top of that, which is, what's that, fucking 460? So she's my pick for best junior.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that she's going to come through and like make a bit of a name for herself in that 84 class, which is awesome. So
that was my thought also.
Yeah, so
would have put more chips on Ra, but I have the inside word that she hasn't been able to train very consistently at the moment. So it's going to be maybe a bit harder for her to bring out a big total capable of taking the best overall.
And kind of actually in line with what Jack was saying, Ra, so she's from World Powerlifting originally, right? She's I looked at it on Open Powerlifting, not Open IPF. And I think what she did at North Islands is 49 kilos on her best ever total. So like she's made huge progression from whatever it was. I don't even know what the comp was before that. I think she like sandbagged a novice comp, but then there was like a proper World Powerlifting comp before that. So that massive gain that she made kind of says to me that there's not going to be another massive gain. Like, I mean, she'd be lucky too. But I remember her watching her lift at North Islands, and I was like, fuck, this chick's strong. Because she was blowing stuff up. She squatted 184, 95, and deadlifted 190. And this is in the open class, but, you know, still those numbers are pretty nutty, which is really cool. And she's only 21. And by the way, the Charlotte that we were talking about before, she's only 20. And Zoe's only 19. So I mean, these ladies are like all very young. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But my call or my pick is Charlotte to take out Best Junior. Probably based off what you're saying, I'd take Zoe second, and then probably Ra third. What do you guys reckon?
We're too like-minded. I mean, that was my pick as well.
Yeah. Well, I think it's obvious pick.
I did not do any research into points, so I'm just pass.
Hard pass.
Yeah, hard pass.
Either way, cool. I think it's gonna be more exciting than people give it credit. But it's a shame. It's a shame to not see Dana and Maddie. in there as well.
Yeah.
We'll get to watch them at Worlds. So hey.
Yeah. So yeah, they'll be competing at Worlds, which will be good. I mean, I'm really excited to see what comes of Maddie over. I mean, I only don't say Dana because I know Dana and you see her training all the time and stuff like that. But like, Maddie's just kind of come out of nowhere, and really, really blowing up, which is credit to you, is it not, Evie?
I don't think
Being her coach.
Much credit to it, to be honest. I mean, she's one of those people that sort of just naturally takes really well to not just, I mean, training, but also just like she has a very much an athlete mindset, and she's really good at getting the most out of herself and staying really level-headed on comp day, which is not at all something that I could have taught her because I am not that kind of lifter.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I'm keen to see how she goes. I think she's one just to keep an eye on, especially if she makes her debut in the Open at some point, maybe next year. It'd be cool. Anyway, let's move on to session 2. By the way, this website from WCPA is awesome. So shout out to whoever teed that up.
Pretty solid.
And you can see all the links to like YouTube and Goodlift on it. So in the, I should really have the other sheet up. Bear with me 1 second. So yeah, in session 2 on the Monday, we have all sub-junior men, and we have, this is what I'm just trying to figure out. 1 second. We have all sub-junior men, and we have the juniors. Yeah, so 59 all the way up to 83. So, what do we have in this one, team? Anything that sticks out? Obviously, sub-junior is going to be same sort of scenario where we're just looking realistically at like best overall subby for the men. So how did you guys come out with that one?
It's really funny trying to research sub-juniors lifting on Instagram, because a lot of them have private Instagram accounts, which I was like initially annoyed and was like, oh, why are their accounts private? I can't see what they're lifting.
Because they're 18.
They are children though, so like
Why are
that's
you
fair
looking
enough.
at children, Evie? You shouldn't be doing that. It's bad.
You're gonna
Your
get flagged.
FBI agent is going to call you out.
Anyway, so someone I could find on Instagram was Zach Cummings from Canterbury, but to be fair, most of what I saw, he's just very, very jacked. So
Yeah, let's talk about this AB3 class, because this is pretty ridiculous, right? Like a 240 squat, 130 bench, 265 deadlift. Like that's pretty good for the Open. Our Open standards, anyway. This guy's a sub-junior.
Yeah. So, you know what's even cool is like there's 5 sub-junior men. Like, sorry, in the 83. My bad.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
purely in the 83 class, there's actually 5 sub-juniors, which is pretty cool. So there's like, you know, level of depth to this class. But in the sub-juniors, I think, you know, the battle for best overall sub-junior might actually come out or end up being the battle for the 83 sub-junior title. So in the 83 subbies, we have Zach Cummings from Canterbury, and we have Thomas Scanlan from Waikato. Now,
We saw Thomas at North Island.
yeah,
You
yeah,
talk about that?
yeah,
When he came out with an opener of 270, me and Jason looked at each other and were like, that's a fake opener. That's a fake opener. This guy's not pulling 270. And he pulls
Yeah.
270.
yeah. So basically, like, it's going to be a case of, well, actually, I can't really talk down Zach's deadlift, but it will probably be like squat versus the deadlift. So Zach is a very proficient squatter. I think I saw him, he put up a video yesterday or maybe the day prior, and he did 250 for a single in the squat, which is ridiculous for a sub-junior. But then the video cut out, and I'm not sure if I missed the second part of the video, like maybe I watched it too soon or not, but he went for a double, and I don't know if he got it or not, and I'm like, I really want to know, of 250. Bro, he does crazy rep work. I'm pretty sure he did like 240 for like 4 or something. Well, I don't know, something like that. It was pretty nutty. Like he's like just balls to the wall sort of training. It's actually kind of awesome.
The classic junior training, you just fucking see
Yeah.
every session. I love it.
And then, and he's been around a while, Zach. I think he's done a few competitions, but the other like one is Thomas Scanlan, who's
Oh, he's 2004.
yeah. How old does that make him? 16, 17, 18?
18.
Maths.
So yeah, and then the other one is Thomas Scanlan, who kind of came out of the woodwork and did North Islands like Jack said, and just was like, oh yeah, I'm going to open up my deadlift with 270, what of it? And I actually remember Thomas in the warm-up room, and it was really weird. Well, it wasn't weird, it was interesting, because he was like warming up the deadlift with like a really close grip, and like every rep that he was doing all the way up to like 220, yeah, he was on the smooth, and I was like, bro, like, what are you opening with? He's like 270. I was like, bro, none of those reps are locked out. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh no, I'm just like saving my grip. Like, I don't want to tear my hand on the callus because I'm not going to warm up by holding the grip. And I was like, bro, like, I was like, okay.
You're playing checkers, bro. He's playing 40 checkers.
Bro, I'm like,
Just
so-
the man went 4 from 9 at North Islands. So
Yeah.
When you pulled 270 in 2015?
what's that?
Remember you when you pulled 270 in like 2015 or something?
20,
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like way ahead of you. He's like,
Bro, I was like, okay. And like he squatted without knee sleeves and
Yes.
and just like
210 without knee sleeves.
yeah,
you know
and
who
just
he
like
reminds me of
who's that? Jack. Nah.
Kavwa.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
in a sense, yeah. And he was just squatting in like fucking metcons. You know the thing that like separates him and what makes me think that he's going to be a good lifter someday if he sticks with it is like he's got a 140 bench. Like sub juniors historically don't have great benches because like bench is kind of something that develops with like musculature over time. But the dude's jacked as hell, and he's benching 140. Like I mean, he only got one bench, but like Evie said, he's
Hey, you
definitely
only need one.
he's rough around the edges.
He's rough around the edges, but the other thing I'd like to point out is he weighed in under 80 kilos.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was 79.5, so he actually outpoints Zach. He's
Did he?
on 87
Oh, okay.
cutoff points
Right.
to oh
So
sorry, no, not quite, but he's very close. Just
Right.
due
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the being
So
so
He
light.
could potentially win the overall, and then Zach win the medal.
Ah, good point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he continues
Interesting.
to weigh in that light, maybe he's put on some mass, but it wasn't that long ago, so
Yeah.
it seems unlikely.
So I think like I remember his like 270, and I was like, yeah, 280, and he went to 285 twice and missed it twice. So I think ideally
And
he's
that's
learned
now
from that
older.
comp. Yeah, ideally he's learned from that comp, and I think he'll put a lot more on his total. But you know, then again, like I'm looking at Zach's nominated 240 squat, and like I said, potentially a 250 double the other day. So who knows? It's going to be an interesting one. But you know, just before we move on from here, another really interesting lifter from this class or in the sub juniors is where is it? Ahmed Shihata. So
Yeah.
he's a 105.
Bench.
Yeah, with a big
Oh.
ass bench.
Whoa.
Man, yeah.
So his nominations are 220, 180, 260, and those are from Wellington Central. Oh, I think it's Wellington Central Regionals. Yeah, I think it is. And that was pretty heavy sandbagging, and that was during Ramadan as well. So he was like taking training pretty cruisy, and obviously not eating or drinking throughout the competition. If I'm not mistaken, that's what I think I recall. And he's done numbers way better than that. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he goes. Interestingly enough, when you filter out sub juniors from 2022, he doesn't show up for some reason, which is annoying. But on open IPF that is. But he's done a novice comp, and I think he squatted like 250 or something like that, and he pulled like he's going to do a lot more than that. He's actually got quite a decent following on Instagram. But yeah, big bencher. He's actually coached by fucking.
It's with the 105. Oh,
He's
the
coached
105
by-
benches Maui's.
105 junior. What about sub junior?
Oh, is he sub junior? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he's a subby, bro. He's
Remember
coached by
Jaden-
Jackson Hinch.
You remember this name?
Oh yeah.
Jaden Wilcock.
Chilton Wilcock. Yeah.
Jaden Wilcock.
Commonwealths 2015.
Wee, that's the one.
Fuck. He's still got records. He's a strong dude, though.
Was Tom Hart's little protege.
Yeah, he was, eh? Anyway, so I think the battle for best overall levels is going to come down to those three guys. Honestly, like, it's cliche as fuck, but whoever makes the most lifts will probably win that.
I don't know if it's cliche so much as just
True.
like a good strategy, someone might say.
Yeah, good point. So yeah, that's kind of how the sub juniors will kind of unfold. So going into Group B, we have the junior men, 59 to 83. This one's going to be interesting. What do you guys get here? We've got actually, I'll kind of outline it first. We've got, basically in this session, we've got 74s, which is going to be the Ben Quarterly show. And we've got an 83 class that is actually quite competitive and a little bit more competitive than it actually looks on paper. So, yeah, what did you guys come up with?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about Ben. Like, he's an incredible lifter, honestly. Like, we haven't, apart from, yeah, let's talk about elite lifters, right? There's elite, but then there's like different tiers of elite, right? You've got like your top tier, like Brett Gibbs, Tim Monagati level, and you got like your kind of like tier twos, like a step down, where that's like really good, but not quite at the top. You got like your Jamie Kings, your John Strackens, and I think Ben is like tier 2 for sure. Like, he's fucking really, really good. We haven't seen another 74 junior do what he does, like, apart from when Tim was a junior.
Yeah, I agree. You actually make a really good point there. I think his sort of, it's really easy to get overshadowed in the 74 class in New Zealand. You can be really strong and you can put, especially, he's so young, 2001. Like, what does that make him, like 21? And Ben's been lifting for a while too, and he continually progresses. So yeah, so yeah, I think you're right on the money there.
I think he is going to go for, from looking, potential bench record. I think it is at 150 something ish. Let me double check. It is.
Is that Tim?
55?
Sorry.
55, yeah. Yeah, I think it was Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's 57 actually.
Yeah.
57.
Oh, yeah.
But he benched 150. He benched 155 recently, so he's probably going to take a stab at it. To be honest,
we'll see. I'm handling him.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Why not, Brian? 58. Let's go.
I'm stepping in for Kedrick because Kedrick's actually in Malaysia up until, well, I think he gets to New Zealand on like Sunday or something, and then he flies into Palmerston North on the Monday, and obviously Ben's lifting on the Monday. So alongside others, I'm going to be handling him on the day. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I have to have a yarn with him and see what his goals are, just regarding like whether he wants to push for best junior. I don't know. Yeah, I think he's in the mix, but it would be
93.99.
Yeah, he's definitely there.
I think his main goal is to do Commonwealths. So
yeah,
which is why he dropped back to 74 for Nats. I think he originally wanted to do 83. So yeah, his
training looks good.
His training's looking really good. He hit
squat looks good. Yeah.
I think what he has as well is like you said, like he's been competing for a little while now, and he's got some good experience under his belt. Like, I feel like in the juniors, it's sort of a weird mix where you get some people who are like, you know, they're really, really fresh to the sport. They're still quite inconsistent. They might make those little technical errors, or they're not quite lifting to comp standard. And Ben is not one of those people. Like, he definitely is much more consistent and lifts to the standard. So you can kind of rely on him.
Yeah, he's got a good head on his shoulders, eh?
Yeah, I mean, that too. And a lovely guy.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So outside of that, we've got a little bit of a battle in the 83s.
First of all, this is like, it's pretty mean seeing 8 people in this class. Like, that's great.
Yeah, once again, 83s is quite populous.
Could you imagine if you had the 8, like if it was just open, like
Yeah.
all the
Oh,
sub juniors,
I'd be so
one
happy.
class? That'd be so good.
That would just really make my day.
I'd come like 10.
So, leading the nominations here for the 83 juniors, and probably actually pushing for best overall junior, is Matt Traynor. So he's coming in with one of these nominations that is not a comp total. So Matt's best total. Let me just check this.
685.
Yeah, so in the nominations
this year.
Yeah, so in the nominations, he's nominated with the 735 total, with a 270 squat, 170 bench, and 295 deadlift. But his actual best comp numbers are a little bit less than that: 250, 160, and 275 for a 685 total. And those all come from regional champs this year. So I'm thinking. And we had this conversation prior to this. The nomination form, I think, asked for best lifts over the last 12 months. That's what Evie tells me. I'm not competing, so I wouldn't know. So some of the nominations that are on the sheet aren't actually comp lifts that have been completed. They're potentially gym numbers. So these are potentially numbers that he's good for. Apparently not in competition yet, so I'm intrigued to see how this goes, because if he can total 735, that is, I think, better than Mahaki's national record.
It also gives him a point score of 101, which is like
pretty hard to chase down.
Insane.
Yeah.
Like he'll be outpointing some of probably many of the open classes.
Yeah.
If he's good for those. I think something to note about his actual comp total at 685 from Wellington Champs was that he missed 2 squats and 1 of each of his bench and deadlift in that comp. So potentially, like, that does indicate he's capable of more, as long as he can get those lifts. Like, going back to whoever makes the most lifts, biggest total wins.
He's a strong dude, and it's really interesting because I was kind of keeping tabs on him. I think last year, because Mahaki was still competing as an 83 junior.
Right. That would have been a great battle.
To be honest, I don't think it's as close as it looks. He hasn't done these numbers in competition.
No, he hasn't.
Looking at his training,
but like any 83, they can get 700.
Yeah. It's massive. Like, don't get me wrong. Sure. Yeah.
We have only had like maybe, I don't know, Brett, Tim, Mahaki, and Dean Price.
Dino,
83s have gone over 700.
I think that would be the interesting thing to see, is like, does he go over 700?
Yeah.
Because that would be huge, and I don't think he's going to do what he's nominated there. I mean, I'd love to be proven wrong, but like, looking at his training, like, I saw some deadlifts that weren't really locked out, and like squats like that were RP7 but looked 9. So I don't know. That's just from a quick view, but I don't think we'll see 735. But I'd love to be proven wrong.
Hey, if we see a 700, that's still great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, that's the thing, actually, is that even his current comp total of 685, we're looking at a 250 squat, a 160 bench, and a 275 deadlift. Like, it's nothing to sneer at.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
2 kilos ahead of second place.
Yeah.
And he would probably come second in the Opens, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd say so. And then outside of that, we've actually got a little bit of a battle. Powder from Wellington is once again another nomination that is not quite his best numbers. Those are gym numbers. I think he's come in with a nomination of 637.5, where his best total is actually 625, so not too far off. And then behind him is Brayden Knight, another nomination that's lower than what he's actually done. Although I will say with Brayden, so he's coming in with a 615 nomination. He had a rough comp in regionals, which I think was like around 605. where he missed his first 2 squats on just like silly things. I think first one was like balance, and then he beat the call, and then he smoked it on his third, and like he's a really good bencher. And then I think his last deadlift he jumped from like 240 to like 260 or like 230 to 255 or something like that, and just missed it because he fell backwards. So I think if he can get his balance right, he's going to be in the mix. So him and Powder potentially kind of in there.
What I'm noticing here is all the Wellington Central guys are putting the gym numbers in.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. And then outside of that, yeah. Outside of that, we have Keenan and Kazu. So I'll try and keep this as short and sharp as possible. Jesus. I think Keenan will be pushing these guys. I coach Keenan, and he's coming with a nomination of 210, 150, 230. He's squatted 220 since, and he's benched 155, hopefully 160 by the time I hear from him next. And he's deadlifted 230 again, and he fucking tapers excellently. He is just one of those guys that, like, you know, you like. I think, what did he finish his last cycle off at? Like 210, I think, or something like that. And it was like a real massive grind, and yeah, somewhere around there. And then like on the day, he absolutely smoked 217. He got called from depth. That's why there's only a 210 nominated there. But I think he'll be pushing that sort of 620-ish mark. So there'll be, I think it's going to be Matt winning. I don't think there's really two ways about that, and hopefully he hits that 700 total. And then Powder, he's probably favourite for second, and then I'd say Brayden, Keenan, Kazu. Kazu's a little bit hard to predict. I think Kazu's just slightly off based off of what I've seen. I'm also handling him as well, actually. So there's going to be like a nice little kind of cluster for second, third, and fourth. Powder, he squatted. I think he made is a really interesting jumps at regionals. He went to 210 on a squat for the opener, and then he went to 222.5, and it was like okay, but like not that great. And then he jumped to 240, and it just got pinned by it, and I was like, where did that come from? So I don't like if it. No, this was at regionals. Nah. He actually, last time he did nationals, he bombed out on squat. So I'm looking at these three. I guess, like, personally, from my perspective, Powder and Brayden, I'm looking at as stronger lifters than Keenan, but I'm also thinking Keenan makes attempts and will put the right numbers on to get him into second or third, and that's kind of where I'm thinking there. That being fair to Keenan, I actually think he's strong as shit, and I think he's going to put up some really good numbers. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he squatted like 230, which is nothing to shy away from. So we'll see how that goes. That's just like, I guess for our listeners, that is something you want to kind of keep an eye on, like that little cluster there for second, third, and fourth. Yeah, second, third, fourth, and fifth, sorry, with Kazu in there as well.
Always exciting to see like a good depth of competition in the junior classes.
Yeah, it's cool. That's actually a perfect transition into our next session, which is on the Tuesday. So, first session for Tuesday is the 93 juniors and the basically rest of the junior males, 105, 120, and 120 plus. So let's just pull that up real quick.
93 juniors. This is going to be
probably
talk
to me about this.
Best classes to watch. First of all, it's a 9-man class, very, very deep. But like, look at those nominations. 3 people here over 700, with a fourth like right there as well. Like, that's ridiculous, man. Do you remember back in the day when it was only like Jamie King, Warren Lee, and what was the other guy, Jordan something?
I've got a bit of trivia for you and the listeners, actually. Jack, you might be too new for this, Evie, but can you tell me? This podcast is going to go forever, by the way, but fuck it, who cares? We'll just own it. Can you tell me the 3 lifters in the 93 junior class, because historically 93 juniors has always been awesome and it continues to be that way. The 3 lifters in the 93 junior class that tied on the same total.
Oh, I know exactly this one.
And can you tell me, for extra credit, what they totaled?
It was Tom Hart, Harrison something Ford.
No, Harrison Ford's an actor.
Oh, what's his name? Harrison something.
I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me.
And what's the other guy? I don't know that name. I'm gonna have a guess that the total was 687.5.
So it was, Tom Hart. Wait, how many did you say?
You only named.
You only named 2.
Remember them all.
I named 1.5.
Oh,
Harrison
so it was
something.
it was Tom Hart,
Yeah.
Harris Butt.
Okay.
How can you forget that name? There's no way he's listening, so don't worry about that. And Ben Hanara. You remember Ben Hanara?
Oh, yeah, from
Yeah.
Wellington.
And they all tied at Nationals in 2016 in Christchurch on a 645 total. All 3 of them. And then the lighter man won, which I think was... Ooh, I actually don't even know who won. Yeah, I think it was. I think Tom was 3rd.
Yeah.
And Ben was 2nd. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, look how far the class has come since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, back to what you were saying.
Okay, so I'm gonna go through the top 4. So Matt Silver here is seed number
Sylvie?
1. Sylvie, my bad. He is the most rounded, which is why he's seeded first. If you look at the distribution of his total between all 3 lifts, it's very well rounded. He could potentially break Tim McEwen's squat record at 271, which is a very, very long-standing record. We got McDonald Manyaka. His squat is a little bit lacking, but that's a monstrous bench he's got there. And potentially looking at breaking Dylan's record at 175. Next up, we got Brendan Orcap, and he has got a solid squat. His bench is a bit lacking, and he's got a good deadlift. Reminds me of myself. He has got the heaviest deadlift, so he's going to be the deadlift hero, pull for the win kind of guy. I like how everyone's got like a different kind of mix. Like it's like their characters and like a
Different distribution, eh?
Yeah. And then we got Raynon, the dark horse. He is, to be honest, he is actually a very, very all-rounded lifter himself. If you look at the distribution, he is just outshadowed by Matt Sylvie, who is just 10 kilos stronger in every single lift. So, yeah, that's my breakdown of it.
What did you look into this one, Evie?
I did a bit, yeah.
What'd you get?
So Matt Sylvie, I think he's the more consistent one. I think he's going to win regardless. I looked at McDonald Manyaka's lifts on Instagram, and the guy's obviously strong, but I felt that it wasn't quite up to standard.
Yeah. It's 3 red lights from this.
Yeah.
Okay, what about his bench? Is he gonna get the bench?
Well, he doesn't. I mean, I didn't see a paused bench.
Okay.
I only saw a touch and go bench. But I mean, obviously he's paused. He's gotten a lift in comp, so he knows how to pause it. He just doesn't do it in training.
Those are all his comp numbers. Like his numbers are legit.
Oh, well, there you go.
No. Yeah. His numbers are legit, but
okay, so
just in terms of like,
just not in training.
Yeah, all of his training, I was kind of like, and I feel like he uses a deadlift bar. I mean, did you look at them, Jason?
Yes.
Deadlift bar?
Yeah, so I think, yes, it is.
Bro, the deadlift bar is harder than a stiff bar. I'm telling you.
I've never used on, so I honestly don't know.
Here's a hot take from Jack.
Yeah, so he, I think he's like probably undoubtedly the strongest dude in this class. Like the dude's just raw strength. I don't know if he's coached or not, but his training is a bit crazy. And you know, the thing is I was watching his training because I follow him quite closely because it's in my class, and dude's strong as hell. And I was like his squats actually never really posed too much, but his benches are like barely paused, and his deadlifts are like barely locked out, and he uses a deadlift bar every now and then. and like I was like thinking, looking at his training going into regionals, being like, what is going to happen here? And the dude just rocked up, hit PBs on every lift, went 9 for 9, and I was just like, well, I was fucking wrong about that. So I think like when it comes to him, yeah, and when it comes to him, I was just like, well, dude's obviously got it in him, and he's strong as all hell. Like he's pretty light, like 91 he came in at leading into provincials. I mean, his training doesn't look great based off what he's put up. He put up like a 300 kilo deadlift on a deadlift bar. Apparently that's harder. I don't know. And then he missed like a 310 deadlift on a deadlift bar. When
easy,
bro, the dude trains hard. Like he sends it.
Yeah, the squats in particular, I was like, oh,
yeah. Strong carve-bar vibes.
Oh, I was
how many times will we reference?
Or just people that just send it all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
he's
so
really very strong, but I always like.
He's the kind of dude that like.
Make a little mental note about people like, not lifting to the standard, is because
Yeah.
I'm just like, like you're gonna be set up for disappointment.
Well, yeah, but like I think I don't know. Like I said, I doubt he's coached, but like a bit of guidance, and he's 750, 760 easy.
Yeah. This is where you make your plug, Jason.
What I'm hearing is he's a free agent. Guys,
he's a free agent. I like that.
Sign him. Get him a contract.
Oh,
So,
good.
because of how light McDonald is, him and Matt are quite close on points. Like they're both on 95. It's the 0.4 that kind of separates them, which puts them both above Ben for best junior male. So that's kind of where the battle is.
Interesting. Yeah. So I want to. Sorry, you go on.
Just Brendan. That total, it must be gym lifts because his best comp total is 655. So just
that
a
is
consideration.
That's considerably different.
How did your research go on Brendan? I've never heard of Brendan, and the best total that I found was from a competition in South Africa.
In South Africa, yeah, I actually.
And like, part of me thinks that wasn't him,
No,
and it's
I
a
think
different
it
Brendan
was
Ocamp.
actually.
But all the ages line up, and the weight lines up, and the weight on the bar lines up as well.
Yeah, I actually think I vaguely remember in my, other position as the NZPF secretary, receiving like a dispensation or something along those lines for him to compete at that comp. Like it sounds vaguely familiar to me, so I think it is him. And I think he just happened to be in South Africa, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in South Africa at this time. Like, can I do this comp?"
Yeah. So at that comp, then, if it is him, which it really does look like it he went 220, 135, 300 for 655, which is what you were referring to. So he's nominated 250, 142, 320 for 712. Yeah, I found him on Instagram actually, and he pulled like he's pulled like 300 beltless. I saw like an attempt with 310 against bands. I saw a 300 against bands. So like, I don't think it's completely out of question, but I think, and I'll get into my analysis now. I think he's going to fall outside of the top 3, and I think it'll be.
Which is actually it still keeps things interesting because it puts Rain in top 3, but then it pushes him into that second cluster for 5, 6, 7, which are all really close as well.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I think you guys are right. Matt's going to come out on top. He's well rounded. He's coached by James Schroeder, so I'm sure he'll like know where he's at and what he needs to do. McDonald, I just don't think I can put my money on him. Yeah, I mean, like,
fun to watch, though.
Yeah, he doesn't have the better numbers. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, him and Matt very similar in the deadlift, and McDonald's got the bigger bench, and Matt's got the bigger squat. So that's kind of what separates them, or kind of what actually keeps them close together. But yeah, I think Matt's actually fucking strong. I remember him from he's been around kind of longer than you think. He put up a really good total leading into nationals last year, and then he actually hurt his back before Nats and pulled out before it got canned. But yeah, he's really strong. I'm really intrigued to. I'm actually kind of intrigued to see him because he looks really tall. But you know, like some people look tall. Actually, like you're like that, Evie. You look tall on the platform because you're kind of like long, you know. But you're not like short person build.
No, I'm not short person.
Yeah, so like people.
But you are
like
a small person, like
yeah, but you are just actually short.
Just with long limbs.
Yeah, so it's
a
like
long limbs thing.
I'm intrigued to see whether he's like that or not. But anyway, dude's strong, so that'll be it. Traynor is strong as hell too. Another lifter that I was really excited to see at last year's Nationals. He came through this year at Auckland's. They had a really good battle with Rafi, who we'll talk about soon in the 105s. And he came out on top of that. And he's nominated with 247, 150, 297. He had a really good day. I think he went 9 from 9, if I'm not mistaken, and left a little bit in the tank with 297.5. So he's definitely going to go over 700, and he'll pull over 300 as well. Not to put much pressure on him, but I really like him as a lifter. I think he's really well polished, and I think he's actually a really nice dude too, which helps. So I think
pull over 300, which means
that's going to be so cool, eh?
All in contention.
Almost half the class.
Yeah.
Angus's deadlift record, which is 290.5.
Yeah, rip to that, eh? And shout out to my guy Harry Newman in there as well. He's going to be putting a bit on his total. Yeah, he'll be pushing over 650, which will be interesting to see how he kind of pushes.
Like, for fifth place, you're going to need 650 plus.
Yeah, which I think will be real interesting to see. So I think that's enough for the 93 juniors. So we'll move on down to the 105. So what do you guys got there?
The Heath Graham show.
Yeah, I just put down Heath, to be honest.
Yeah.
Heath is just so fun to watch, man. Like every lift he does is just he battles, and it's like really fun to see him fight through the lift.
Talking about someone who is actually very tall.
Yeah.
He's long. He's long.
He's so tall. He's
squat,
battling against
gravity.
gravity.
So much range of motion.
Yeah. He's one of those like really impressive lifters because of that, eh? Like I don't want to say he doesn't look strong because like he's kind of built, but like he's just so long that it's like when you see it, it's like fuck, that's impressive. You know, if you see someone who's like really good in the like really well built in the squat or really well built in the deadlift, like it looks like it's impressive with the weight on the bar, but it's like almost like you like look at it and you're like that's like cheating. Like when you watch Heath lift, you're like, man, that's impressive. Like you know what I mean? Like it's impressive.
Yeah, it's impressive. Yeah.
Like it's a just not like you're not like this guy's not just taking advantage of his like mechanics. He's just a strong dude.
Yeah, because like I guess mechanically he's probably only built for deadlifting because he's long.
Yeah. But
like he's got a good squat and good bench.
And his bench is mean, bro. He benched like 180 or something.
He's fucking mean.
Yeah. And I'm keen to see what he can do. So outside of that, we've got Rafi in there who's coming fresh off of IPF Worlds. Do you have any comments on that? Evie, were you with him and how did he feel about that?
Yeah, it was interesting actually. Like I think the general feeling among the whole team was like it's a whole nother beast, like competing at a Worlds event. But I think what's cool is like Rafi really came off of that like super excited, like it really like lit him up and he was like, really excited to do better, and particularly like seeing how high the standard is at Worlds, that he was like, oh, like I need to be lifting to a higher standard, basically. Like the standard that he was lifting at before was not sufficient. Like he really had to focus on squatting deep enough and that kind of thing. So I think like it was a cool experience for him that he's definitely going to come back a better lifter from it. Perhaps not stronger at this comp because obviously the turnaround is pretty quick, and quite a few of us caught COVID after Worlds, so that was
all of you.
Not ideal. Pretty much the whole team. So but definitely I think a better lifter from the experience.
I think the experience is very similar to anyone that I think that experience is very similar to anyone that does their first international. It's kind of eye-opening being like, holy shit, there's all these other people, like, you know, outside of New Zealand, and they're freaking strong. And just kind of like lights a fire in you. Like, it definitely did for me when I did my first Oceanias in 2014 and like saw the Australian team and the Nauruan team. And I'm like, holy shit. It's like ridiculous. Like, I thought I was like pretty strong, but like, nah, this is real strong.
That like big fish in a little pond.
Yeah, that's exactly,
And we were like, wow, everyone's way more jacked than we are. Like,
that's really always the case, eh? Everyone's always like, oh, I'm so small and like not jacked at all.
Yeah, we did not look jacked compared to the lifters there.
Yeah, you just get like, well, I mean, like, think about like Bobby Butters in your class, and it's just like, holy shit. Yeah, she's next level, eh? But anyway, I was going to say, I think, you know, it's a smart, like, I don't know what made the decision or what pushed him this way, but I think with the short turnaround, it's smart for Rafi to go to 105. It seems like he cuts a little bit of weight and, you know, just to kind of relieve a little bit of pressure going into this comp and just giving him a chance to, like, build momentum. I think that'll really benefit him.
So I actually think he's hoping for a potential spot on the Commonwealth's team, so...
Oh, yeah. Better chance at probably 105.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that 93 class is stacked.
Yeah, yeah. That's a smart move. That man's like, playing chess.
Yeah, to be considering as we talk about this stuff is that we've got Commonwealths at the end of the year, and there's an A team and a B team, so potentially 2 people from each class.
No, is that potentially 4 people from each class?
No.
Yeah, because you get 2 people in the A team if a slot's not taken.
If a slot's not taken.
Slots are going to be taken.
But
yeah.
Potentially.
Oh, yeah, potentially. Maybe in the juniors.
Maybe in like a really, really competitive class, yeah.
I want to kind of, I'll double back to that at the end. And I want to talk about some of the criteria for that because I've got a little bit of a rundown there that I think is probably worth covering. And I also want to talk about the jury as well. So we'll double back to that, and I'm just going to use that as a bit of a teaser to keep people listening, because I know people listen to this stuff just to try and listen out for their name. But yeah, anyway,
that 1 year I went to listen out for my name and it wasn't in there.
Oh, rip, bro. But just to round this off, quick fire. Who you guys got for best junior male?
Wait, hold up. Can we before that quickly talk about this Tyler Juncker?
Oh shit! I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
Holy!
He can potentially break Terry's squat record.
Junkie. Okay, so we've got Tyler Janky.
I think I've actually met this guy, and I did not realize he was a junior.
So he's nominated 312 squat, 150 bench. That's down a little bit, and then at 310 deadlift. Are those legit?
I have no idea. Let me look it up.
Yes, they are. They are. Don't worry, we're good. I've got it. And he missed 320 twice on the deadlift, so I'm interested to see how he goes.
He's going to be on grip.
Good.
Oh, it was a grip situation, is it?
I don't know, but super heavies normally do, right?
Yeah. Good. Good find there, Jack. 320 or 310 for a big dude. He's 156 kilos. Like, that's a fucking good deadlift. You know, the bigger you get, the harder it is to pull. But anyway, quickly, best overall junior males from you two. It's not easy to pick.
I didn't do points, so that's all you do.
I'm
Just
saying
off the top of your head.
Matt Sylvie, 93.
Yeah. You first, Jason.
I'll go Ben Cordeley.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Jack, you have to choose something different.
I'm going to go...
Go Matt Traynor.
I'm going to go Matt Traynor, actually.
Oh, yeah, it's a good call. Yeah. Because he's not on this fucking list for some reason. He doesn't show up when you filter out juniors. So it does it a couple of times. Okay, anyway.
Yeah. He's the... I don't know betting terms, but the one who's like the higher...
Underdog or favourite?
No, not the favourite. He's like the more risky choice, but like could earn you lots.
Underdog.
Oh, yeah, that is underdog.
Because like his nominated total would be 101, but he hasn't hit it in comp. So.
Well, if he pulls that out, then like
he blows the rest
miles
of them out
ahead,
of the water.
Do
Yeah.
you mean dark horse? Is that the term? No.
I don't know if it's a dark horse. I feel like maybe there isn't a term for that in betting. If you know the term, let us know.
Right in the comments.
TAB. Comment down below.
Okay. All right, and moving on to session 4, which is the second session on Tuesday. We have all Masters females. We actually have 3 groups in this session, so it's going to be a pretty gnarly session if you're a spotter and loader. So probably not a whole lot to go over in this session. I want to talk about a couple of lifters, and like the likely favorites for best masters. I actually got a question for you guys. I was talking to Paul about this in the gym tonight. Is it like they do best masters, right? So you got best M1, M2, M3, so on and so forth. Do you do like a best masters?
Best
like
overall master.
Yeah, is that a thing? Because he seemed to reckon it was, and I was like, I've never heard of that, but maybe I'm just tripping out.
I think it might be, but I think it might not always be a thing.
It annoys me that I don't know that.
If that's a thing, then should best overall junior include sub-junior as well?
I have a feeling that at this comp, they're just doing a best overall
Open.
masters.
Oh.
Like it's just one.
Well, if you think about it like this, like usually you'd have, or you could potentially have like a Masters Nationals, and you'd probably have best Masters in that, right? So maybe it's up to like the federation.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose, I think it's really.
I guess it would
dependent
actually.
on how you choose, like, how you choose to divvy up prizes or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, just never like, I don't know. I just didn't think they did that. But anyway, a couple of things to note there. So this is the first session. Will be actually both sessions are all. Yeah, it's easier just to kind of explain it as all Masters females. So I think a couple of notable names there are Sarah Surtees, sorry. She's a 52, and she's coming in with a nominated total of 342.5, which is pretty decent. Her good lift points are 87.48. And out of the Masters ones, she's a pretty clear front runner. But behind her is Rochelle Jessup, also coached by Jan Schroeder. She's a very strong lifter. She's actually, I can't remember whether she did compete in the Open or not in the past. But she was once was a 72, now a 69, and she's got some really good numbers there as well. So I'd be keeping an eye on those two. In the M2, I would be looking at Imi Talia. She's coached by Dom Bassabas of New Zealand Powerlifting Academy, and she has a big old 200 kilo or a $2 deadlift. So yeah, I think those are kind of the main ones that we're looking at there. Ellie Costner, actually also, she'll be going up against Imi Talia, both in the 84 plus kilo class. Ellie's numbers, she's like 50 kilos behind Imi, but her numbers that she did, she was injured. I was actually at that comp. That was at Northlands Regionals. So I expect her to be a little bit closer to Imi, but probably not that close. And really, that's pretty much all there is to kind of note from that. Janelle, I think she's one worth noting in the under 84s M1s. Another, and I'll talk about this a little bit as we get further into the podcast, but another lifter who has come back from World Powerlifting, and she's a Northland lifter as well, very strong in the under 84s, actually coached by John, so I'm interested to see what she does there. She always seems to like cruise through comps, so it'd be cool to see her back doing nationals, and I'm sure she'll do pretty well. So I think Sarah for best M1 and probably Imi for best M2, and then M3s. There's no way they're listening, so we'll move on from that. Probably like Cherry or something.
One note to make is that although Rochelle is currently sort of sitting 2 points behind Sarah, she has hit 90 GL points before, which would put her in first, and that was about, I think that was last year. She hit a 433.5 total. So I think she could potentially. It just depends how well her training's been going.
Cool. That'll be good because those two will, like, you'd assume they're both looking at each other. Sarah, I think, is coached by Carly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they'll definitely be kind of keeping an eye on each other, and that'll probably be the main battle throughout that one. Yeah, Megan Jeffrey's also a strong lifter as well, and obviously we've got Anna Claire Thompson in there too in the under 69 class, and she's kind of working her way back into things. She's a previous world champs lifter, so I'm sure she'll be pushing
And we should
that
shout her
total
out
there.
also for being one of our national referee examiners, and she will be throughout the week taking people through their national referee exams. So
Should be putting in a lot of mahi, so appreciate that.
kudos to her.
Yeah, hard out. Also, actually, let's right coach Nikki Berger. She's doing her first ever nationals, and she's nominated first, so that's going to be interesting to see how she goes. She's very fresh to the sport, so I think this will be just the beginning for her. She's a strong farm girl. Okay, so moving into the next session, which is the Masters men's, and that's the M2 and M1. And I'm actually spotting and loading for this session, which I'm like concerningly excited for. I need to get a chance to spot and load. And
Concerningly?
Well, like it just.
Do you need
People
help?
think it's weird when I say that, but like.
I also get excited about spot loading because I think when you like never get to do it,
Yeah.
it's kind of fun to do something that is like hands-on, but like
You're so involved.
mindless. Like you don't really have to think too hard about it, and
I just
yeah,
like.
you're right there.
Platform. What is it called? Platform coordinator. What's the main
Yeah.
guy?
Or head spotter.
Head
Yeah.
spotter.
Then it's nice.
I'm head spotting.
Yeah, if you're not that guy. Oh.
Well,
But I know all the plates, like, you
You'll
know,
be
like,
fine.
yeah,
I mean, if you're the good one and like runs a tight ship, then it's like
yeah.
nice to spot and load it. If
I
people
just
are,
think
like,
it-
lost
Quitting
with what's
if
going
it was
on,
the if you're back spotter for the like 120 men, but
That's like exhilarating. Like I remember spotting Joe Whitaker at the record breakers in like 2017 or something when he squatted 383, and I was like, oh my god, this is gonna fucking kill me. But like, it's cool. And then like
Wow,
I remember
okay.
like giving out like a lift off to Brett Gibbs, and he benched like 217 at like 85 kilos or something. I don't know. It's just like you just kind of feel like you're involved.
you almost like feel the energy of the lift as well.
Yeah,
Actually have to
yeah.
feel it.
You get like a bit of a buzz off it.
Yeah.
it's a thrill.
Yeah, it is a thrill.
And dopamine.
Yeah. So anyway, I've got an interesting kind of couple of notes here on this. So this is M1 and M2. Now, I think interestingly enough, the battle for best M1 is going to come down to who wins out of Edwin and Darren. Edwin's nominations are wrong. He's totaled
Yeah,
much more than that.
They're both wrong, and I was like, I don't really know. I think they genuinely like forgot what they lifted
I think.
because Darren.
Well, we are talking about masters.
Yeah, when you hit that
Darren's
master's, man.
Darren is only off by 2.5 kilos, but I was like, what a weird number to like.
He definitely
off
forgot.
by. Like his total from earlier in the year was 685. At
Yeah.
least that's what's on Goodlift.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, so.
He
Anywho.
definitely forgot. So yeah, this is gonna be interesting, and it's cool because both these guys train at our gym at North Shore Barbell, and like we give them a bit of stick, and they give each other a bit of stick. So it's gonna be really intriguing to see how this plays out. Edwin's like, what is Edwin? Edwin's nominated at 640, Darren at 682.5, but Darren's totaled 700. Edwin's
Edwin-
only totaled
655 was his actual total.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's in there.
His
at
best total is
640.
667, but that was with a 120 bench, and he's since benched 145. So he's like, his best ever bench is 137.5, and he's actually now being coached by Kedrick, and his bench is just like blowing up. So I think that's always been what's really let him down, probably alongside execution. So having like a coach there and having the bigger bench is going to make this battle better. It would be even better if there's another guy, Pete Bevington. He's kind of in the mix with these guys, and they went head to head in 2020. But he's not there. I think he's injured. So yeah, I think
the next three closest after Darren are all not competing. So Pete Bevington, Craig McMillan, and David Cooper are all out. And I know Pete and David, I think, have both applied for dispensation for Commonwealth. So they might, it'll be interesting to see kind of how that one plays out and who kind of gets a spot.
Yeah. So Craig's actually an M2. That's why it's not. He's actually in there, but he's I'll talk about him soon. Yeah. But when you look at it through OpenIPF, it comes through as an M1, which is, I think, because like technically, like he's not advantaged by being an M2, so it kind of has them in that category as well. But yeah, I think that's what that will come down to, is like whoever wins that gets best overall. Not to like shit on anyone else, but like I think that's just kind of the fact of the matter. And then going into M2, we have a very similar scenario, which I kind of just alluded to before, which I think will determine the best M2 lifter, and it will kind of be a case of who wins out of Craig and Simon. So we've got Craig coming through with a nominated total of 632.5, and Simon with a nominated total of 560, but don't read into that because Simon has definitely totaled more than that before. He's actually totaled, let me have a look, in the 93 kilos, because he's kind of jumped back and forth a little bit. He has totaled 652.5, so 20 kilos ahead of what Craig has there.
So yeah, I can speak a little bit about Simon.
Go for it.
One of the couple people who kind of, I don't know what the term is, dropped off during the start of the year. I think due to COVID from last year, didn't really carry on training throughout the holiday period. So came in kind of like a little bit demotivated. Wasn't sure what he wanted to do competition-wise. Realized that Commonwealth was at the end of the year, and he had potential to make a team. So from that, I think he made a decision to compete in the 93s instead of the 105s that he normally does. Creeping into, was it North Islands that he did? I think it was the North Islands, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
He just wanted to focus on, I think, his cut. Not worry too much about the numbers and just qualify, because you obviously need to qualify in order to make your class for nationals and then Commonwealths. So I think for this prep, he will actually have some training under his belt, which would be good to see. And yeah, who knows what he's going to pull out? It's probably going to be a decent.
Looks like his training is going pretty good.
It does look like it's going pretty good. Yeah, he likes to like tell himself and like say it's trash all the time, but it's pretty good.
Yeah,
he does.
It's a bit of what do you call someone who's like a self-deprecator?
Self-deprecating, yeah.
He, funnily enough, actually, Craig's best total is 653, and Simon's best total as a 93, if I'm not mistaken, is 652.5. So Craig has a 0.5 kilo lead all time on Simon. So probably whoever comes in healthier, at a guess. So that'd be cool. It's just like, a lot of these masters lifters kind of, they're used to just not necessarily competing, but just like in it for self-progression and just, to put together a total on the platform and probably enjoy the experience more than anything. So to see like a couple of battles in there, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think Simon is actually quite competitive.
Oh, yeah. Quite. He's very competitive.
He's very competitive.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting.
There's only two in that class anyway. He secures a spot for the Commonwealth team, assuming he doesn't bomb, I guess.
Surely not.
Maybe he misses weight. I'm not going to jinx you, Simon, sorry.
I think I'm going to make a call here. I'm thinking... This is a really hard one, Darren and Edwin. I'm going to go with... I'm going to go with Dazza. I saw him bench 166 tonight, and that looked pretty good. So I think that might just be too much to make the difference. And just to get him fired up, because he'll probably actually listen, I'm going to go for Craig, because I think Simon will be really mad about that, and he knows he sounds like he needs a bit of a kick up the ass as well. So
There we go. Yeah,
prove me
Simon.
wrong, Simon. Okay, so then moving into session 6, which is the next day. We'll go into, there is Masters 3 and 4, but, you know, we love them, but we'll kind of move on from there. We're a bit short on time. Excuses, things like that. But we do have the first occurrence of our open lifters. So we have in that morning session there the 59 and 66 kilo men. Sorry, I'm like stalling as I'm trying to find this. So what did you guys think? I actually I put up a poll on Instagram to like see, well, what do you guys think the most competitive class is going to be? And I think this was the
winner.
This was no. This was like the last, like the least competitive in the poll, but I think this is going to be like the most undersold, or at least is currently being the most undersold class. Yet it is actually the most competitive, in terms of like, it depends on how you define competitiveness. Yeah, but in terms of like everyone could win it, like this is the class.
For sure. In terms of like competition, like actual competition, it is very, very competitive. In terms of the absolute numbers they're hitting, in terms of like how far they are from records, not quite that.
But I think that's one of the most exciting things about this one is how close all of their deadlifts are. There's no lead person here on the deadlift. There's no deadlift specialist. They're all really close to each other. So there's no one. Yeah.
Well, the fact that 1 and 6 can be interchangeable is, quite. Well, I would say maybe not 1 and 6, 1 and 5. Oh, well, okay. Actually, there's some underdogs here.
Yeah, it's really.
It's hard to
even
pick, man.
Outside the top 3, it's still sort of like.
Okay.
So let me give a rundown, and then I want to hear you guys' thoughts. So in first place, we have Judah Pelico with a 555 total. Second, this is nominations. Jackson Sue with 551. Third, we have Will Hemington with 550. These are kind of out of place, but technically in fourth, we have Zacho Fong with 535. And then we have Chung Kwon 530 in fifth. And then in sixth, we have Ali at 527.5. However, Ali totaled that at 59. So, that's room for improvement. So that's, there's a spread of 20 kilos, 25 kilos between first and sixth, which is like, I'm like, this is, I wish every class was like this. I don't even care what the number is on the bar. Like the fact that it's competitive is cool. So yeah, what do you guys reckon?
Okay. So I reckon, Judah, Jackson, and Will all seem very, very close together. And the numbers are like pretty much identical, with Will having a stronger bench out of all of them. Do you actually follow all of them, Jason? Like, do you know what their lists look like?
Yeah. Jackson's a bit hard to follow. I think he's private. I don't even know if he posts anything. Judah, he's Judah's like built for the class, by the way. He's like short and jacked and thick.
Yeah, actually, I looked at him.
Is he the guy coached by Brett?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right.
So I saw him pulling what it looked like a 240 double.
Okay. Contrast Judah's build with Will's build.
Couldn't be more opposite.
Total opposite, right? Total opposite. Yet Will has the bigger bench, despite having the long, skinny arms.
Yep.
I'm going to back my bro Will here. I've always thought that he actually had really, really good leverages for deadlift, but he hasn't quite figured it out yet. I think once he actually figures it out, he can actually be a very, very good deadlifter. And to go along with a big bench with that, I think Will's actually has potential to be a very, very good lifter.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll be a really good 74.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Like just like, you know, because like not that he's not a good 66, but like he is quite
yeah, we
like
find it hard
lean.
to
Yeah,
fill
he's
out.
quite lean, and like it doesn't help him in a squat. And you know, like I coach Will, for those of you that don't know. Like we've talked about it. We actually had planned to go to 74 for this comp. But kind of like and then this kind of eventuated, and we're like, let's go towards this because like this is going to be good.
So Will
And
had a really, really good comp at North Islands, which I'm really happy to see. Like everything kind of just clicked for him after a string of bad comps. Yeah, it'll be You got any
I
other?
think with Will, he yeah, you're right. Like he just like struggles to maintain his weight more than anything, and that was a big reason why we were like, let's go to 74, because what would kind of historically happen is like he would do a comp, we would kind of eat up to 66, and then just like doesn't really prioritize food that much at all, and then just kind of drops off post comps. But whereas like if we were just to keep going and like get to a weight that's probably where he belongs, then like he'd potentially be able to hold that a little bit more. So he's still kind of eating up, which is helping him quite a lot, and it's definitely working in his favor. I think like my rundown of it is Judah, a little bit rough around the edges. I think 555, I don't know if he's going to exceed that massively. I think that his deadlift is looking good. Like he did a double at 240, but it was kind of like one of those doubles where you're like, yeah, you doubled it, but like I don't know if you could really add that much more weight. Do you know what I mean?
Like if the double actually contributes to the top end strength.
Yeah. So
But does he have potential to pull last?
I'd say he will be. Yeah, I'd say so. That gives him an advantage.
Will, you don't think Will's confident enough in his deadlift to kind of take that role?
Well, Will pulled 230 this week, so it was good. I'd say
Some of that might come down to strategy, right? Like
it's going to be where
having
we're
a
at.
coach in your corner who knows how to play it right.
So just to throw some coaches on these people as well, because it's also like not only is like the competition close, but these people are all coached. So Judah's coached by Brett Gibbs. I'm not sure if Brett will be there or not, but I would think so. He usually, I mean, it's just not far from Willie's anyway. Jackson is coached by Dom. I'm Coach Will, and I coach Chung. Ali's coached by Carly. Ali and Carly. And Zeko is coached by John, I think. Can you confirm that, Evie?
Yep.
So we're going to like, you know, it's going to be not only like good lifting, but it's going to be good strategy too, because every one of those coaches knows what they're doing, and I don't expect any of those coaches to make a critical error. Like no one there's new. Don't call out John like that, bro.
Wow, Jack's gonna call out the coaches.
I'm not gonna call them out, but you guys can.
So anyway, just on that, I have been doing a bit of scouting on this, obviously, because I've got two lifters in there. But Jackson Sue's a really interesting one. Cuts a lot of weight, so we'll see how that goes. But he squatted 208 in training.
Ooh.
He's notorious for cramping.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Didn't he have some cramping issues?
Probably because he cuts a lot of weight.
Due to the weight cutting. But you'd hope that, like, you know, you have that one comp and...
With the last two comps, he's cramped up.
Bring the soy sauce next time.
Yeah, well, you'd hope so. But, yeah, I'm intrigued to see what he does. He's pretty jacked. Like, dude's pretty big. I think...
Throwing his hat in the ring.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good point.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's a hard one. Will's coming together nicely. He squatted 185, so 5 kilos up there. He benched 142, so he's already up on that, and would obviously expect to get a little bit more on the day. Chung's up too. He'll put more on those numbers, probably like.
I was going to say one more thing about Will is that from his last comp, even though he did really well, his bench was actually down, but his other lifts went up. So if he can bring his bench back up and have all three the same, then I think he's ahead.
Yeah, well, if you look at that, his weight was still not quite back yet, and that obviously like contributes a lot to the bench press. So he's more. Well, actually, he fucking piked out on me this week in terms of telling me what his weight was, but he's more. Well, he's closer to where he was when he benched 145. So
imagine all you had to do was eat to win. Like that's what you had to do. Eat to win.
Wow, I mean, You could technically. I mean, Evie. Trying to get Evie to eat at the moment. Anyway, back to this. So I think a dark horse a dark horse in this is definitely Ali. Just because of the fact that that was a 59 kilo total. He squatted 200. It was comfortable. Like, you know, I say that, but at the same time, he's been a 66 before. He's never really filled it out. He's always kind of been like 61, 63. So I don't know if he'll come in at like a full-blown 66, and I doubt it because that total is from South Islands, which was like, 7 or 8 weeks ago. But, it's only going to help him, right?
Yeah, and also, I don't really know how his job affects him because he's a doctor. I don't know if he's like a stressful doctor or if he's a chill doctor. For lack of
a better term.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, like depends on life stress.
Yeah, I don't actually know if he. I think he might actually work at like a hospital, so it might be pretty stressful.
I actually think maybe that's why he's doing 66. I might be making that up, but I think maybe Will told me that, or someone, that he's just like I don't want to cut because work's too busy and shit.
Yeah.
Which is a smart call from him. And now he's in a class that's probably the most competitive class there is. So Evie's just leaving us. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to back. I'll have to back Will. I think. I think about Will's performance in 2020 when Viv won, and he beat out Chung and another guy Foul and what's the name? Amanuka. And he didn't have a good day there. He kind of succumbed to a bit of the pressure and expectations, and I think he's matured since then, and I think he's gonna pull together and have a really good day. Like, he had a great day at North Islands, and we didn't even push him that hard, and he's been training well. He hasn't done anything dumb. He's eating up, so I have to back him there. But realistically, I'm also thinking it kind of comes down to how Jackson's cut goes. It says if his cut goes well and he can squat that 208, let's say he does that on the platform, he's really hard to catch from there.
Yep, for sure. If he scores that 208, right. And then even if he maintains the other two, he'll still have a decent lead. Yep.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Who do you got?
It's an interesting one because right from the squats, you can already tell how the rest of the comp will go. Based on, because of that, like that being his trump card, he has to reveal it right at the start.
It's a good point because his bench isn't like
it's the lowest out of all.
It's yeah. I mean, I don't really need to sugarcoat it. It's right there. It is the lowest. So, I mean, that being said, if he comes in and benches 140, then like that's also game over. John Strachan's just creeping into the screen because he knows we're about to talk about him.
Yeah, about to talk shit on him.
So yeah, anyway, I think that'll be one to watch, and I would definitely
I'm backing Will as well.
Yeah.
With I don't know, and I'm gonna back Ali as well.
Yeah, I'm keen as to see what Ali does.
Yeah. Mainly because we haven't really seen much of him as a 66.
Yeah, well, not recently. Okay, quickly, Evie. Now that you're back,
Sorry.
Who's your call for 66?
It's so hard to call.
I agree.
I'm gonna.
Well, dice. There's 6 of them.
I'm gonna say Will.
Dice.
Cool. Yeah, that's what we said.
Did you actually?
Yep.
Oh.
Oh, I kind of have to. No, I don't have to. I'll go Will Jackson, Judah. I don't know if Judah, I don't know about his execution, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always willing to bet on the consistent guy.
Yeah, Jackson's good. He's a good lifter. He just cramps and you just never know, eh? So anyway, let's move on to the next session, which is session 7, which is it's actually a big session. There's a lot to talk about in this session, so get yourself a drink, listeners. So this is the
class.
Yeah, 52s all the way through till the 76s. So Let's just start with the 52s because we do want to work our way through all of these open classes. So, pretty clear front runner there with Megan Lee Smith. But, you know, like, undercovers kind of a good class. Actually, I'm not even going to say kind of, like, an actually really good class.
Yeah.
So we have Megan Lee Smith nominated first at 420, chirp.
Can't lose with that table.
Can't lose with that. And then in second place, we have Kavishi, another world powerlifting lifter coached by Dom, who's come to the Federation. Actually, I think she's come back. I think she did a comp quite a while back. Maybe at North Shore Barbell, actually. But anyway, she's nominated second. And in third, we have Suzy Premgy, everyone's favourite lifter. So...
The people's champion.
You know what
she
gonna
is.
Say? Oh, I love Jason.
But she says that about everyone.
So lovely.
No, she either says she loves you or she says something else.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. So yeah, I think on that, obviously Megan Lee's gonna run away with it. You know, I think she's posted about what she wants to do there on Instagram. I think she said a big thing there is kind of pulling together the total that she wanted to do at Worlds. I think specifically with the deadlift, she's for those of you that don't know, Megan Lee competed at World Champs. She's definitely one of the best lifters that we have, and she pulled 185 kilos in the 52 kilo class for a podium spot, and I think it was for third. Was it for second? So she pulled for second place, and she got the lift, and then it got overturned by the jury just because of downward movement. So I think she said that she wants to come back and hit that, which is like is an admirable goal. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think she's gonna, yeah. And I'm honestly, I look at her lifting, and I'd like to see her kind of like unleash a little bit more on the squat since she's gone to 52. Like she did 155, I think, at regionals, and then 160 at Worlds, and they both looked really easy. So since she's gone to 52, she's done a lot of like easy squats in comp. So I'd love to see her really push herself in the squat because she has a really good grind. Like we've seen her grind quite a bit in the past on the squat. I think notably, what is it, Invitational in 2021. Excuse me. She like ground out. I think she missed her second on the squat, and then she got her third and like grounded out, and it was pretty cool. So I want to see her push that, which is going to be really interesting. And then just before I pass it over to you guys, Kavishi's an interesting one. She's come in with a 147.5 nominated squat, but she actually squatted 157 the other day. So
yeah,
she's
doing really well at the
got
moment,
a hell of a squat. So
definitely more there.
obviously
I remember seeing her at North Islands. Well, and then seeing the number on the board, I was like, "What?" Like,
Auckland's, I think.
Auckland's.
Yeah.
Auckland's. Yeah. No, this is actually absurd.
Yeah. So being your previous weight class, Evie, what do you think here?
I think I just want to touch on Megan Lee's performance at Worlds in particular, but also, just in general, like, I think something that she really has going for her is she is a lifter who can grind, and she really knows how to, like, fire herself up, and, like that 185, I don't think I've ever seen anyone fight so hard for a lift. So, I mean, we were all so proud of her, really, because she gave it everything she had. So she really, really fights for her lifts, and I think, like, if she was pushed, I think she'd still take the win. I don't think Kavishi's going to be able to push her, though.
You know what's interesting about Megan is she, like, is notorious for missing her first deadlift. Like, the last 2 comps, she's missed her first deadlift, and, like, at Worlds it wasn't, like, I think it was, like, a little bit of downward movement, but at regionals, she missed her opener at 165, and, like, it was just a flat out miss. And I was like, what the fuck? And then
well, mistakes happen.
Well, yeah, but, like, you expect if you just flat out miss something, you think, oh, well, maybe you just weren't in the game, you can get on your second. She got on her second, made it move, like, pretty well, and then she jumped 15 kilos to 180 and, like, got that. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? So I don't know what's going on in her opening deadlifts, but you know, if you're watching that session and you see her make a hard lift on her opening deadlift, don't worry about it because she's probably going to put another 15, 20 kilos on it.
And be fine. She just needs she needs that stress, you know.
Yeah, maybe, eh?
Well, yeah, like you said, she gets fired up, right, quite often. And lifters who kind of utilize that arousal level need to accurately do it every single time.
Yeah. I think she's quite, like she has quite a specific way of approaching the bar and everything. I don't know if that's actually the way, but it looks like that when watching her. And I think maybe, you know, sometimes she gets it wrong, it can put her off quite a bit. So it's really interesting if you're watching just to see the way, like the systematic way in which she approaches the bar. She has a very certain way of doing things, which I think allows her to make the lift more repeatable. I don't know if that's the case or not. It just kind of looks like that. So, yeah.
I mean, it's true of a lot of high-level lifters, eh?
Yeah.
We can see that it's sort of like if one thing is kind of out of place,
can make a big difference.
Yeah, can come crumbling down.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, I think there's really no two ways about this one. I think
I just want to make a note that this is another example of you having Megan Lee Smith, who is, well, I'd say, tier 1 international elite lifter, overshadowing Kavishi. Like, Kavishi is actually fucking strong. 390. Like, what did you do at 52, Evie?
385. Oh, 385 at Worlds, but yeah. So that was
same shit, right? Like, you were Worlds level. Like
to win as a junior in 2018, I totaled 385, and I think that the open class that year was maybe 410 or 420 was the winning total. So
yeah.
As a side note, like that the squat world record in the 52 class was, in my opinion, the worst world record in powerlifting up until like this year. Like it was like 150, I think it was like 152 or like 160.
You mean like it shouldn't have been a record?
Like it was just like relative to every other like weight class. Like you go, 52 was like, I think it was like 155 at a time or 156 or something like that. And then you'd go to like 57 and it was like 180. You know what I mean? Right. And then like 47 was a bit crap because this is before Tiffany Chapon, but it's just interesting to see how that's developed so much. And like we see Megan Lee squatting more than what the world record was like not that long ago, and potentially Kavishi as well. Like if we look at Kavishi, she has like with 147.5, that's the 20th highest ever squat in the 52 kilo weight class. And if she goes 157, that puts her at the 7th highest ever squat in the 52 kilo weight class, which is above Liz Craven.
That's true. I mean, when you put
in the IPF
like that, I mean it's.
But you know, she's going to get overshadowed by Megan Lee.
But I think it's worth noting now, like,
there's levels to this shit.
We don't have a 47 kilo lifter, so there's definitely space for
more than one.
Them on the Worlds team.
Very true. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So I think, you know, in general, look out for Megan Lee, and then when it comes to Kavishi, you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on her squat and probably her deadlift as well, actually.
Also, shout out to Suzy.
Yeah, shout out Suzy. Yeah, we do. So anyway, moving into the 57 kilo weight class, we have previous junior world champion Evie Corrigan. So Evie's nominated first at 472.5, and then we've got Kat,
not my total.
which is not her total because she's just gone and done that.
Because I did.
She put all the.
No, it's not. It's my total is 470. I did the thing that the other people did, which was why I was certain that the form asked you for your best lifts, not your best comp lifts, because I put in 170, which is I haven't squatted in comp this year, but so it's 472 then. But
you put on 80 kilos after moving up weight class. That's pretty ridiculous.
Pays to go up a weight class. So anyway, second place is Kat Sean, another person coming back from World Powerlifting. very similar vein of like lifter that Jack was talking about. She's very strong. She's got a nominated total of 387, which I think she's capable of more than that. And actually, credit to Kat, she had a few issues. I think it was at North Islands with like depth and stuff like that. And since then, she's tidied up shit a lot, which has been cool to see in training. And I think she's gonna like blow that total out of the water just because she just obviously was like, okay, fuck that up. Let's fix it up.
Yeah, I think she hit 145 the other day on squat.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be more there on the day. Yeah, she was really good about that actually. Like, I think it takes quite a like sort of humble and like bigger person to be like, yep, I wasn't doing it to the standard and I'm gonna be better, and to work really hard at it as well.
And Kat knows, Kat's done worlds. She knows the standard, and like sometimes you just
that's true. She has done well.
Yeah, sometimes you just drop off with it, and you just need a reminder like that. And luckily, you get that before nationals, right?
You've got to be held accountable, right?
Yeah, and it's no need to like get salty about it. Not that she did, but some people do. Anyway, Evie, how's your training going?
It's all right. It's all right. I mean, I think it's hard. Like I've said, like there's a few people in the same boat coming off of Worlds. It's quite a short turnaround. Quite a few of us had COVID. I accidentally lost some weight, so
where did it go?
Yeah.
It's not going to be my best total, I don't think, but I think that it will. Yeah, it will be what it will be.
Yeah, I think, you've got other things that need to be priority. Obviously, going to Worlds was a big priority. And, I think, like I said to you the other day, just show up. We'll do what's there. I think,
for sure.
You're a strong person, regardless of what you do in training. We're still, you're never going to be too far away from, these numbers here. So I think just get through the training, and then we'll see how we're going on the day. You don't need to push anything. And I think...
Yeah, definitely Commonwealths is more the sights are set there. It's
and
more
then...
Sheffield.
Woo!
Just, wait for the invite.
Wait, don't you have to be invited?
Yeah, you do.
You're not sold on it?
I'm just like, I want it on paper, so
yeah,
that
I know
like,
what you mean, eh?
Yeah, but
it's actually gone to your junk mail and you missed the acceptance period. So...
Yeah, sorry. You can no longer compete.
Someone else.
I'm totally gonna check my junk mail now just to be careful.
Yeah, okay. So I think, obviously, Evie, I think you'll take this one out, and it's like Kat's gonna put in a good performance, and I think we'll do what we can on the day, right?
Do you normally have more people in this class? Are there people missing?
No, it's been a pretty empty class for a few years now.
It's a good question, though.
We used to have Amanda Folks,
and
her and I, record breakers. What year would it have been? 2018, maybe. Like traded records back and forth.
And you
a couple
did it
of
nationals
times.
too, eh? Oh, we got actually. That's a good question, Jack. Because I'm sitting there thinking, who else are we missing? But Holly Jenkins is usually there. She's a really good lifter, and she would actually be great competition for Kat because they're very similar. Holly's best total is 379, and Kat's is 367, based off of Open IPF. I don't know what that's about, but so yeah, that would have been really good. But I think
another one is Shanaz. I saw that Shanaz is another one of the WP lifters who's come back, but she couldn't get leave from work. She's also a doctor, so that's why she's
stressful doctor.
Probably
she's one of them stressed out doctors. Okay, correct. So Evie wins that one, and we move on. Okay, so going into the 63. So this was actually one I actually have to have a look on my poll, but this is, I think, the front runner for most competitive class. It was between this and the 69.
Interesting. In the women, I suppose I should just jump in here first before we get
Please
into
do.
it too much. That Amy Lee
I'm not competing.
not
Okay.
competing.
What?
So, yeah.
Oh,
She,
whoa!
so
Breaking news to me mid podcast.
well,
So she's got a wedding,
Oh, really?
which opens the door for Katie to be seated first. Which I
Holy
absolutely
shit!
love to see, because Katie and me, like, we started powerlifting like at quite similar times. Like,
Me
she's
and Katie
put
did the
in
same
work.
first comp.
Oh, okay.
I think.
she's-
okay. Well,
yeah, she's done, like, a
Katie's
little
my
bit after
friend.
me.
Katie's my homegirl.
You're
So
the same, like, a little bit after me. But she's put in work for ages, right?
yeah.
Oh,
She has.
Katie's
and actually,
awesome.
her lifting has been going really well as of late.
Yeah.
She got COVID though, didn't she?
Yeah,
But
she did.
she's like literally just.
But like, she posted some videos of post-COVID training, and it's like
It was good, eh?
not bad now.
It wasn't as bad as she thought it was going to be, but I think like
Doesn't
I
help.
think the thing is, like, she's been lifting for a long time, and it's getting back to a certain level is fine, but it's that top end of it that
Fuck.
is going to be really
Tell me about it.
could be challenging. I'm not going to counter out because I really think that experience does.
Fuck, this makes this class really interesting now.
It sure does.
Because
Really,
I think
really close. Everyone's
that-
so close after that
yeah.
point.
I think that makes Katie the favorite, but the fact that she's just had COVID, albeit coming back well, it's just another kind of level of
Throws another wrench in the
ambiguity.
mix.
Oh, interesting. So Amy Lee has a wedding, so she can't make it.
Yeah.
So she's kind of putting herself out of contention for Commonwealth as well.
I think she can apply for dispensation.
Yes, she's been granted dispensation.
Oh, okay.
I think on the basis that she tried to compete, and obviously she has a total from Worlds.
Yeah, of course. Oh, wow. Okay. This is
Yeah,
interesting
really
for
opens
me
the door.
because I coach Ash and Jess, who will now be seated in 3rd and 4th. So they're going to be kind of pushing each other for a podium spot. Anyway, what's your guys' analysis on this one? Now that Amy's gone.
Roll a dice. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
So close.
Jillian's got the bigger squat, but Katie's got the bigger deadlift. So that always comes in handy. Yeah,
Katie's been working hard on her deadlift, and it's been really good to see.
it's been going pretty well.
Yeah, Katie's deadlift's looking good, eh? I actually, I thought this was an interesting class because everyone's kind of got things going on. Well, now Amy Lee's not competing, then that's her out. So I had her just like as the favorite, and then I had Katie with a spicy cough, and then Jillian, I think has had a hip issue from what I can see. So I don't know if she's at full strength. I think her advantage is she's really light. So she was like 58 or something when she did this total. So, I think she should be the favorite. Not the favorite, but she's definitely going to be like 1 and 2. Yeah.
It's pretty hard to call between.
Yeah. And then like Ash has had COVID twice.
Yeah, more than her fair share of health
Yeah,
issues.
and she's had all sorts of stuff. Her training's actually come together really well, which has been awesome because she's had so much shit going on. And Jess is in the similar sort of boat as Ash, like just like things going on outside of training that are kind of outside of control. So, and then lastly we have Amanda who's running the comp and is running around with a like 1-year-old child. So it's like whoever feels the best on the day might win this one. Like, no shit. This is going to be actually really interesting to see how this all unfolds. It could honestly be 5 kilos.
It could look so different.
Yeah. It could be 10 kilos between everyone, or it could be like 50 kilos.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to call. I don't think I have like I'm going to say Katie's my pick because Katie's always my pick. But
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. It's going to be a shake-up, and I won't get to watch it because I'm in the same session.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. Oh, no, I'll be coaching to it. What am I talking about? I'll be keeping a close eye on it. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I'm going to go... I want to like. I just to kind of be different. I think I'll go with Jillian. Just the weight, like she's like 58 kilos. Let me just bring it up because I don't want to misquote it. But she was when she did that total, which was 377. She was 58.9. So like, like you would expect things to be going up pretty quick. So if she comes in over 60 kilos, I'm gonna use that. Okay, if she comes in over 60 kilos, she's the favorite. If she doesn't,
It could be
Katie's favorite. Yeah, exactly. Jack, any thoughts?
It's like if they'll eat the food and then how they respond to the extra weight, like two variables.
There's
Well,
that. That is
from the 1.5 kilos that she's gained since she was 57. It's gone pretty good.
Okay.
She put 40 kilos on her total.
Man is using data.
42. She's actually pretty new to it. Anyway, okay, shall we move along to the 69 kilo class, which is another really interesting one. All the female classes are quite competitive, eh?
Is this the first time we've had 69 at Nationals?
Yes. Apart from Masters in 2021. But yeah. So these will be the first 69 kilo open and 76 kilo open winners.
National champs. Nice.
Yeah, national champs. What do you guys got?
Well, with a total of 420, you can't lose, right?
Facts.
Shout out to Alyssa, my fellow volleyball player.
Yeah, and I think Alyssa is a pretty safe bet again. Like
Is it though?
She's a coach herself. I think she's going to make good choices. I mean, I don't know how well her training's been going. I know she's been overseas, so that could make things a little bit inconsistent if you're off visiting family or whatever. But I mean, the same could be said for Carly. Carly has been overseas, so
Carly's all over the show.
Yes, and also has a small child, so that definitely makes it difficult to keep your training consistent.
She's just gonna come back in the game.
Yeah, I'll kind of give it a little bit of rundown. So we've got Alyssa first at 420, Carly in second at 412. In third, we have Lungi with 395, which is not her best total. And in fourth, we have Veronica with 393. And in fifth, we have Elsie with 390. And that's kind of the ones that you want to be keeping an eye out for. Yeah, so Alyssa's just been back home in Canada for the last month or so. So I'm intrigued to see how she goes. I think she's definitely been training, so I don't think it's like been this massive sort of like she's not been massively put out from that. Carly's in a similar situation where she's been traveling as well, and she's just come back from doing Worlds. She's obviously had a child. Previous Carly that was, let's say pre-baby Carly totaled 435 at 63. So in terms of like all-time strength, she's the like favorite, I guess, if you want to just purely use that without context. But I think the other thing there actually to mention, like that aside, for Carly, she had some really tough calls at Worlds. I think it was her second squat at about 155. She got done twice on depth, and I was honestly watching that being like, what the fuck? Like, that was rough, I thought. Do you recall that?
Definitely come back and get that.
So yeah, that gives her 10 kilos, which puts her ahead by 2.5. Hard to call.
She's definitely capable of more, but I think it just really depends on the day. And I know that she's not flying in very soon, with much time before the competition.
She's in Bali, right?
Yeah.
Bali?
Yeah.
No way.
I think she's been living there. Or holidaying there for an extended period.
I mean, that could have an impact.
Yeah. I think... Oh, well, like another interesting one is Lungi, right? So she's done, she's nominated at 390, but she's actually done...
412.
412. So, once again, similar to what Carly's got. The thing is with Lungi, is like, like if she can execute, she's gonna go really well because fuck, she just struggles to execute. That's like, yeah, and you know, she's coached by Dom now, so I would expect that to somewhat
Improve?
increase. Yeah, but we didn't
I think
see
it's
that
just-
at Auckland's, you know, when she was coached by Dom. So she's
I put in my notes here, really strong but very consistent. She could win or she could come fourth.
yeah, hard out. Like that's basically what I'm thinking as well. So yeah, and you know, even like Veronica's training is going really well. So I am pegging her for over 400. So fuck, like if Lungy doesn't pull it together, and you know, like she's like bombed out before on squats. Like if she bombs, that changes everything. So I don't know. It's really hard to pick. But if I had to choose a winner, I'm probably going to go with Alyssa. I know she's been training overseas. Carly, I think, has mentioned she's had a few issues just with like training consistency and like traveling and being a mother and everything that comes with that. So then again, you know, she's missed out on 10 kilos. It could have potentially been 160. So it's going to be interesting. Oh, actually, Alyssa's bench there, like that's not anywhere near her best bench. She's better than that. She's better than that. She's benched 95 before, so that's another 10 kilos on that. But that was at.
So then you've got 10 kilos both for both
Yeah.
of them. Sort of.
So that'd be good. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Alyssa though. What do you guys got?
You can go first, Evie.
Yeah, I'm feeling torn now, eh?
Mm.
I might go Carly. Like, I think she could pull it out, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially if she's got that extra, if she's got more than 10 kilos on the squat, because that was her planned second. And I think even then, it wasn't her. I think even then that was down from the plan she originally had for Worlds. So if she can hit what she planned to hit at Worlds, I think there's a lot more there.
Fair.
I just want to make a note that in terms of records, yeah, so since this is a new class, there's a lot of standards and a lot of records that have been carried up from the 63 class. So lots of fresh records available for the taking. I think Alyssa could probably take a go at the squat record, which is 156 from Amanda. In terms of bench, Carly and Alyssa can probably go for it. It's at 90 at the moment by Amy. Amy Lee.
Oh yeah.
Deadlift, I think Carly, Alyssa, Elsie, and Veronica can all go for it.
Fuck. What is it?
180.
Really?
By Carly Dillon.
So.
And the total.
Sorry, go on.
There you go. Then the total is 415, which is up for the taking top 3.
So not only is this going to be close, but we're looking at lots of chips. So Carly and Alyssa chipping the squat. Potentially Carly, Alyssa.
The bench
actually
will be. Amy will take that from Worlds because you can break national records.
She's a 63.
Oh, sorry. What am I talking about?
Because she competed at 69 once, which got
carry on.
Yeah. So we're gonna see chips. Well, yeah. So chips in the bench for potentially Carly and Alyssa, and then chips in the deadlift for Alyssa, Carly, Lungy, Veronica, Elsie. So that, I mean, new class, so like you expect it, but it's just going to be pretty funny to see all those records just get traded around.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Good point, Jack. Okay, what do we got next? So next up we have the 76 kilo weight class, which is
the Carlina class.
The Carlina Tongatea show. So, I mean, if you don't know who Carlina is, then you've definitely been sleeping under a fucking rock. I think of note for Carlina is that she squatted 220. She deadlifted 239 for a double. And she benched 130. Now, if you put that squat and that bench with her best ever deadlift, which is 246, so we're looking at 220, 130, 246. That's 11 kilos over what both Jess and Agatha totaled at Worlds. So if she can pull that together, I know I can almost guarantee that her and Dom are wanting to total 600 though. So if you go fucking, let's say she goes 220, 130, 250, I'd say that's what they're going to go for. That would be 600.
It's absolutely insane. Like, there's nothing other to say about it than she's a complete phenom, and she's the best lifter that NZPF has ever seen.
She's smashing the 74 kilo men's. Like,
yeah, she's smashing me, that's for sure. You know, like I want to do a little bit of a throwback here. If I was like audio savvy, I'd put a little soundbite in. I actually recall talking about Carlina in our, it must have been a preview for the 2019 Nationals where we also talked about world powerlifting. And I think at that comp, she'd just fallen short of Barbara Alvara. And I was like, I remember saying like, oh, something like that. Or she was just around there. And I was just thinking like, this chick, she's going to fucking beat Barbara one day. And she's not only done that, but like, look at where she is now. Like she's, you know, among one of the highest ranked.
Everyone.
Well, she's among.
Because all the 76 records that have been carried up have been Barbara's records, and she's gonna destroy them all.
Honestly, I was thinking about this, and I think she's gonna set these records, and no one's gonna beat them until she beats them. They're gonna be there forever.
Forever.
Fucking ever, honestly. Let's just see where she ranks for overall good lift points. She's 10th overall all time for good lift points. Yeah, out of everyone.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So she, like, her total that she did at Auckland's was 3 kilos less. Yeah, it was 3 kilos less than Agatha and Jess did at Worlds. And she didn't, like, fully extend herself. So, I mean,
amazing.
It's just, incredible. Like, I'm just very intrigued to see where she goes with it. Yeah. I like 220, 130, 250, that'd be outrageous. So I'm very keen to see how she goes. And, you know, like, similar sort of scenario, we've got other really good lifters in this class. Like, if you go down from Carlina, you've got Nicole, who competed at Worlds.
She's 182. Like, it's ridiculous.
And that's not even her best squat.
Yeah, and Nicole squatted 190, like, which is crazy. And that was not the national record, but that was the Auckland record not long ago.
Imagine her at a commercial gym with 4 plates aside.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone is just like looking like
when she trains on base in Whenuapai, and the like dudes in the Air Force are like, the fuck. But you know she'll like outdo those numbers like by quite a bit, which will be really cool. And then, you know, what I think will actually be good or a nice little fight is actually between her and Fiona Nicol. Fiona's relatively new. I don't actually know how long she's kind of been in the game, but I think she would be expecting to improve like a reasonable amount on those numbers. The most recent thing I could see from her lifting was like a 140 for 9 squat, which seems like a lot of reps to be doing like, you know, 3 or 4 weeks out from nationals, but hey, it is what it is.
140 for 9.
So she's only done 2 competitions. And she actually missed. So she's got 180 as a deadlift there. She missed 192 and then 193. So, bless you, Evie. Bless you. So that's going to be close between those two, which will be cool. That's going to be a really nice little fight there. And, I mean, I expect Nicole to do more than those numbers, but at the same time, you know, she's in the similar sort of boat as you, Evie, where it's like she got COVID at Worlds, and then, you know, didn't train for a bit, traveled for a while, and then, you know, came back and now is back into training, and it's actually going pretty good, all things considered. But, you know, you can only get so much.
Yeah.
So
like
yeah.
Trying to milk a cow you just milked.
Yeah. I've never tried, but I'm sure it's like not super easy.
I don't know if that checks out, to be honest. I've not spent any time on a dairy farm. Seems
legit. But yeah, that I think, you know, just for a viewer's perspective, watching that battle for second will be really cool to see. You know, even below that, Chanel, she's a 100-kilo bencher, and I think she'll be looking to do more than that too. So,
Oh.
yeah, I mean, it's going to be like everyone's going to be watching to see what Carlina does realistically. So it's going to be intriguing to see how that goes. But
I just realized she's number 19, like overall, like guys and girls.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Like just if you click on the homepage and then you look at it.
You open IPF, she's on the fucking top 20.
Damn. Just ahead of Brett too, which is funny because that's what they went for.
Yes, that was absolutely intentional.
Yeah, that's not by mistake. But yeah, that'll be really cool anyway. So just another world powerlifting lifter coming back. That is just a lot of value to our federation, which is really cool to see. So it's nice to have those guys and gals back and pushing around some crazy weight. And I think she'll be looking to do like worlds next year, which will be really interesting. So we'll see really interested to see how she progresses over the next year, because obviously she's just gone. So
Actually, Commonwealths and potentially Jets will be coming here for Commonwealths. So
very, very good
might
point.
see that battle sooner than
that'd be spicy.
would be spicy.
You know what's also interesting is like Carlina isn't going to Sheffield, or at least not that we're aware of, and like yeah, well maybe.
Well, Evie hasn't got an invite, so maybe they're considering.
It might have gotten lost and ended up in Carlina's letterbox.
Is Evie on the top 20 here?
Oh,
Called out, Jack.
Yeah, wow. But what's interesting with that is like if she blows out like 600 out of the water, like that just makes, like, let's say she's not at Sheffield, and because like the kind of the battle that they want for Sheffield, or that's kind of been thrown out there, is like get Agatha and Jess again to battle because it was so good the first time. But if Carlina does Commonwealth and does like 605, like none of those two are going to even be competitive. I mean, they probably will.
Takes the wind out of their sails a little bit. But I mean, I think they have a very close eye on Carlina.
Yeah.
The organizers, that is. So I wouldn't count it out yet.
It'll really come down to probably what she does at international comp. I think they wouldn't be really waiting too much into like regionals and stuff. But anyway, we're getting off topic here. So yeah, that is that. Is that the end of the day? Yeah, that'll be our Wednesday, and then after that we actually have an AGM. So if you are there watching the lifting and you want to come around and see what's happening with all things NZPF, then come to the AGM and don't make any suggestions for changes because you actually have to submit them beforehand. Am I right in saying that, Evie? Being the secretary? So don't come in with all these things that you want to change because you need to have already done that and have your shit sorted.
You will be told to send an email next year.
Yeah, which happens every year, right?
The cycle goes over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then on Thursday, we will be kicking things off for a 3-session day with the 74s and the 83s. And I have the session off, so I'm going to sleep in. But nobody cares about that. Jack, how are you, mate? How's your training?
Okay. No, we're talking about 74s first.
Okay, we'll start with 74s.
73s first, 74s?
Yeah, go on then. Give me some news on this.
Right, so 74 is going to be a very fun class to watch. It's a very large class, 11 people, albeit the competitiveness isn't quite there. And like I said previously, there's tiers to eliteness. So you got Chris Kennedy. Well, first of all, Chris Kennedy pulled out. So did you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So he was the front runner to win. Chris Kennedy is a IPF level contender.
Yep.
I mean, top dog, gold medal contender. Unfortunately, he will not be able to lift, but he's got dispensation.
So what happened?
He's injured.
I think he's hurt his shoulder, if I interpreted what he said correctly.
He posted about it, eh?
S2, S3, what is that?
That's a back.
Yeah, it's his back.
Sacrum, I think.
He can't squat or deadlift, really. So.
Oh, sacrum, yeah. It's the ass.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, I saw that.
It's a
When did
real
he
shame.
post about that today? Was it today or yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Yeah. So I think that's like it's kind of disappointing, eh?
It is a little bit. That being said, he is still going to be able to do Commonwealths.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I mean,
And I
you
think
want him there doing that, eh?
his goal was to go to Worlds anyway. So like, yeah, he called all these like warm up meets. Like,
Ah, yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Ah, yeah,
so
sure.
yeah, Chris Kennedy is out, which leaves Carver and John seated as first and second. Nothing to scoff at. Carver with a 700 total. John with nominated 655, but more appropriately like a 680-ish lifter. So these are our tier 274s. Incredible lifters, really, really strong. Carver did Worlds. He is coming back off that. So not sure how much progress he can make from there. Carver's funny, yeah. He's like lists for New Zealand all the time, but it's just never in New Zealand.
He doesn't even live here.
Nah,
Has he, have we seen much of his training post Worlds? Like, has he been doing much, posting much?
I don't think he's posted very much.
He posts a lot, and I don't know if he's still coached by Marcellus.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm just going off what he's like tags and stuff, and I'm actually looking at his Instagram right now. He never tagged Marcellus in anything from Worlds, so I'm doubtful.
Yeah. Fair enough. So original. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about John. John got COVID maybe like a week ago. He's come back. Pretty damn strong. He seems to not have lost that much strength. It's pretty much a deload for him. And I think the fact that since Chris has dropped out, it's kind of lit a fire in him that he can potentially chase Carver and go for that number one spot.
Fuck, that'd be cool.
So, yeah,
I had a thought about this too because obviously Carver is coming off of Worlds and he does have a bit of a reputation, as we've already mentioned or alluded to, for being a little bit inconsistent and maybe going 5 from 9. So I think potentially in the situation that Carver doesn't make very many of his lifts and John has an exceptional day, he could take it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Carver's like he's inconsistent. He pulled it together really well at Worlds. He went 9 for 9.
Did, yeah, really good comp.
And like best, I think it was a PB total.
Not too sure. His bench was definitely down. I think he was injured, so obviously benched like 180 at 66.
Actually, he didn't go 9 for 9, did he? He missed a couple of benches.
No, I don't think he's ever gone. Oh no, the only time he's gone 9 for 9 was when Jared handled him that one year, and that's actually that's an incredible statistic. You go look it up.
Okay, so he has totaled 715. But yeah, it's rocks or diamonds, right? So it's gonna be interesting to see. How's John pulled up post COVID, numbers wise?
Actually fantastic. He doesn't post much these days, so I don't know if I want to.
He posts on his story, but that typical one. But I think also we have to. These numbers from North Island were they were a pretty easy day. His squat and deadlift, he played it pretty safe. So yeah, there's.
Well, John's totaled what 687.5, something like that.
692.
692.
I'm taking a guess. 695.5.
695. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
687 was from before that. So yeah, I mean, obviously John's. Well, actually, I don't know. Is he far off that? Like 695? I don't know.
Jason wants to know if you're far off your best.
I say what's down the most is his bench. His squat's actually probably pretty close to his all-time best, and his deadlift is probably pretty close to his all-time best as well.
What do you say, Evie?
He just smiled.
Ooh, his man's keeping his cards close to his chest.
He's not giving anything away.
Oh, anyway, I think that I mean, it makes it interesting, right? So
it sure does.
It's interesting, yeah.
Could really go either way, as long as
otherwise wouldn't really be an interesting class because
Yeah.
everyone's just gonna be whatever their nominations are.
I think EJ's he's a really strong lifter.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, again, levels to this. Like 637 as a 74 is actually really fucking good. But obviously he gets overshadowed by everyone above him. That 275 at 74 is fucking fantastic.
I think he's good for more than that too.
Okay.
I think, like, I'm kind of thinking about when Joel was potentially going to do nationals, and that was kind of like the kind of person I was putting up against, because I think they're quite close in terms of like the total. So I'm interested to see what he does. But he's probably realistically he's definitely going to be third, unless barring
going to get fourth.
Third,
exactly. Oh, sorry, third. Yeah. Sorry, third. Yeah, no, Chris. It's one of those things where it's like you're going to get third. Yeah, you can't do better than third, and if you do worse than third, then
yeah,
terribly wrong.
So who you guys got?
He's 50 kilos above the next person. So
who you got?
I mean, I have to pick John.
I'm gonna back John too, but Carver's
usually biased.
The thing is, like, John and Carver are like, we're all good friends, Carver's friend. So it's gonna be a good rivalry.
I mean, I think yeah, I agree. I think Carver should win.
Carver should, yeah.
But if
it's his to lose.
If he underestimates the level of judging, then he could be in for a rough day.
That's true, actually. That's something we've not really touched on yet, but I think is going to be perhaps a bit of a surprise for some people, is that I'm predicting that it's going to be not harsh, but harsher than what people have experienced at the regional level. I think our national referees have really been sort of like well coached by Rory and Anna and Toby now more recently.
I agree.
The thing is, Carver has experienced the highest level of judging, regardless.
This is true,
it doesn't really matter for him.
But he's also...
sorry, sort of just in general, like across the board, I think people might be surprised.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it'll be close, but yeah, I mean, I think Carver should win realistically, but we'll see.
He's the stronger guy.
Yeah. He's jacked as
the
fuck
better
too.
lifter.
Okay.
Moving on.
Speaking of Jack.
Oi.
How are you feeling, mate?
83s. Terrible. Fucking terrible. I'm just making excuses. Got COVID like a month ago, but training hasn't been great since then. I think the 83s are going to be a very similar story with the 74s, and that you've got the top runner, well, back when they had Chris, and then everyone is kind of just going to be whatever they were seated at, according to the nominations. That being said, I'm currently seated second. Honestly, I think it's probably Jamie Campbell's to lose.
He's deflecting.
I've heard that he's also been sick, not with COVID, but...
All right. It's Jared's to win.
Let's go, cat guy.
Jared's actually had a good prep, and I think he's feeling pretty confident about this comp to hit some PRs, which I'm really happy for him. He's had a string of terrible comps over a long period of time.
He also hasn't really been trying.
Huh?
He also hasn't really been trying over the last couple of years.
He tries more than you think.
Really?
He just tries in like a non-productive way.
Well, he said to me he may wait at North Islands because he just didn't eat for 3 days.
Maybe
That's just fucking dumb.
Well, you don't need to eat during the last 3 days anyway, right? You're not training.
Oh, it depends if you want to stay alive or not.
Yeah, I don't think he has to do a big weight cut this time. Yeah, what do you guys reckon of Jamie Campbell? So yeah, me and Jamie Campbell, like, we've been, I guess, trying to have a rivalry for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
During 2020, he was top dog, and actually it was him and Joel having a rivalry where me and Sumner did. But then last year, I felt like we were both going to have a really good comp and have, a really good matchup, which got cancelled, unfortunately. And then this time we get a battle. I don't know if it's going to be a battle.
I mean, it might be down to kind of what Jason said before is like who's feeling better.
Yeah, like literally.
Yeah, good point actually.
I've got 2 weeks to pull a peak together.
Is that your best total, Jack? 655.
Yeah.
So like Jamie's best total is 657.
Mm-hmm.
So like in terms of like, I mean
But
like
he
objectively,
from
like
2020, he hasn't come close to that.
yeah, like I think like if I was to, let's just say I assume that you kind of get back to scratch, I would expect you to have the momentum because realistically you do. Like what sort of PB total was that? Like how many kilos?
655.
Yeah. So what was your
was
previous
10.
best?
645.
So like that's a 10 kilo PB, which is like, and you know, he's like hasn't matched his PB since 2020. So I think momentum's kind of in your favor. I think it's going to be fucking close. I think it'll be really cool to see actually.
I think it'll be really close, but what I do think is that we probably won't be hitting the 640.
Yeah.
Or we'll be probably hitting around 640-ish.
That's all good.
Yeah.
You know, I think like, I mean, just for you, selfishly, that's your best case scenario because you know that you're not going to be able to go in and hit PBs because you've not been well. But you know,
that being said, my bench is actually going good, so don't count me out for that.
I'm not counting you out there, mate, although I usually do. As long as Evie's not riffing.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny you say that.
It's game over. It's game over.
I actually am riffing that.
Oh, no. What shoes you got, bro?
No, I'm not. No,
Oh.
actually, it's the one after. You're lucky. It'll be the 93s. Because I'm handling John.
Dodged a bullet there.
Anyway, what I was saying was like, it's an ideal situation for you because now you've got something to kind of work towards, you know, having that battle with someone.
Yeah, for sure.
Just before we kind of talk about Tim for a second, is Jared like, is there a potential goes like, what's his best total? Like, is there any chance that he gets close to 640?
Nah, his best total is 620.
Bit off, eh?
Bit off. But I don't know. I feel like even with us three, it's so hard to gauge, to get like an actual estimate of what we could hit because it's like the variance is so high.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. That would be good.
It would be good.
So outside of that, we've obviously got Tim coming in at first. I'm intrigued to see how he plays this. Once again, competed at Worlds, didn't have his best day, failed to kind of execute where, you know, on a couple of things here and there. So I'm intrigued to see what his lifting, like I want to see what it looks like and whether there is a notable change from what happened at Worlds, because he got called on depth and he got called for not locking out his deadlifts. Watching his training, it looks like he's been working on it.
I would agree with that.
So, I mean, you'd be stupid not to, right? I think he's aware of that. He does need to work on that, and especially if he wants to give himself the best opportunity to potentially do Sheffield via qualification through Commonwealth or something like that. I can't envision him going crazy at this meet. I think he'll just look to kind of bank some.
You do that for a 5.
But I don't know. I mean, I wonder if he's gonna look for a bit of redemption, a bit of.
That's a good point.
You know, so he totaled 765 at Worlds versus this total that is nominated 812. That's a big difference. And I think he really fell short of what he's actually capable of.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he approaches today.
But I think I agree that he has. It's frustrating because at Worlds, you know, he is so strong and he was in contention to
win.
I mean potentially win. So, you know, to end up in 5th was just sort of like soul crushing. But it's all things kind of within his control. But he does seem to be making the right moves towards, but at least with the deadlift, it appears to be more locked out.
Yeah, it was hard to watch, like because he's been there before and he's had similar issues in the past.
And he knows it.
Yeah. So I think that's why I'm so intrigued to see what sort of Tim we see. I think without a doubt he was the strongest lifter at that competition. He was fucking way stronger than Delaney and Jurens and Inaharo as well. And his deadlift looked outstanding on that day. But they got to the situation where they had to try and pull for Sheffield qualification. Yeah.
It's like an all or nothing at that point, right? They don't really care if it's second or third. You have to play catch up.
Well, for those of you that don't know, he missed 3:30 on his second because it was called for a soft lockout, and then he could have jumped for second or third, but he decided not to and decided to go for the Sheffield qualifier, which I think was 800 kilos or something like that. So he jumped to 340.
I think he just pulled for the win.
No.
Okay.
No. It
2.5 kilos behind Delaney.
Okay.
So he obviously had the chat with Rory where it's like Sheffield is priority over second or third. And he just he actually did pretty good with 340 too. So his deadlift shot, actually the way he looked on that day was fucking awesome. He just, it's just a couple of execution things. Like his squat, I think he went 295 on a second.
I just think, he does know these things.
Yeah.
I think, these are not new issues.
No.
So, yeah, you've got to lift to the standard. That standard, those rules are the same.
Mm. Yeah, it's intriguing to see. That's why I'm so intrigued to see what we see from him. Because, like I said, it's been a couple of times that's happened to him and he hasn't quite been able to put on the international stage what he is capable of. So, what are we going to see? So I'm real keen. Are we going to see Tim that says, I want redemption and I just want to fucking send it? Or do we see Tim that's I'm really going to tidy things up and I'm just going to, go 9 for 9, 27 white lights and just really lock in a total and walk away being I can live to a really high standard and it doesn't affect me that badly. So, yeah, we'll see.
Perhaps something in the middle.
Logically, there's no point.
Nah.
There's no real point having a sender at nationals, right?
Yeah. No.
What
do you gain from
your
that?
own
Yeah.
ego?
They're not going to count towards any world records or anything. Not going to count towards the Sheffield qualifier. You might as well use it as a warm-up comp for Commonwealths and lift to the appropriate standards.
Yeah, I would agree, 100%. So anyway, that class, Tim first.
Yeah.
We'll go Jack second, Jamie third. I think that's probably how
I'm going to go Jack first.
Tim bombs out. Okay, let's moving on. So, into what was ranked or what polled as the most competitive class. I don't know if I agree with this.
So, historically, this class has been a very, very competitive.
And I think that's why people voted for it. I was just
and it still is, by all means, way more competitive than the 74s or 83s.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's more. It's sort of it's about a distribution thing. There's more people distributed in the center that are closer versus at the top.
For this one right now. Yes. Yep, I can see that. But that's what competition is, right? It's how many people close together.
Yeah, but I think people generally want to see the competition at the top.
Yeah, I think what you see here is
the competition at the top for sure.
You get
for sure
top 6, bottom 6. That's what's going on here.
Okay,
it's very a very clear split. Lee is 6th at 660, and then 7th.
First of all, before we get into each individual one, the 93 juniors is more competitive than the 93 opens this year. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I would. So, fun fact, there's 12 people in this class, and I coach 8 of them.
Good luck.
So this is going to be really interesting. And then I've got 3 in the 105s, but Yeah, we'll see how I navigate that.
You need to hire an intern, bro.
The problem is I don't trust anyone. So anyway, like just on the class on its own, a couple of interesting things here. Obviously, we've got Jamie leading at a nominated total of 793. That's a total.
I didn't even think Jamie was still lifting these days, honestly. He posts nothing. The only interactions I have with him are about drum and bass. So I didn't even think he was still lifting.
He deleted his Instagram.
Right.
He comes and goes with it.
Do you know what? Actually, my most recent interaction with Jamie was him sending me a video of him wearing the new Defy sleeves and squatting. I can't remember what he squatted, but
290.
it was him just sending me a squat video, basically.
It would have been 290 from last Saturday.
Has he shown you his fish tank yet? Or his baking?
Yes, all the time. Hopefully he brings some baking to Nationals, actually. Anyway, so yeah, he's like very out ahead there with the 793 total. You know, I think he'll be looking to go over 800. He'll be looking to.
Is he going to squat over 300?
Yeah, so the goal will probably be 303. So break Brett Gibbs's 302.5 record, which we had a crack at 2020 Nationals, but fell short on that one. He's going to bench something pretty good. Like his nominated bench is 173, and he's consistently benching 175, like pretty comfortably. So we're going to see 175 plus. Yeah, and 330. Like the thing is with Jamie is like he pulled 330 when he squatted, only 285 or something like that. Shit, 290 doesn't seem right. Maybe that's another gym number. But it's at like with him, if he pulls back on the squat, he can always pull more because he gets quite fatigued from squatting. So it's going to be interesting to see how his deadlift goes. But I would, speculate somewhere around that sort of 330 mark. I think he like 800 would probably be a big goal there for him. And I think, based off of what he's done thus far, he's more than capable of it. It was 290 that he did, so it's not too far off to go 303. But a really interesting one here for me is Mahaki Kopu moving up to 93. He's coming with a nominated total of 725, but that was when he weighed 84 kilos. So
let me guess, he's still going to weigh 84 kilos.
Well, he's been weighing around like 87, 86 in the morning. So hopefully he can maintain that. I've said to him, I want to see you at 88 when you weigh in. I mean, like, honestly, I think he's going to be a fucking force to be reckoned with at 93 when he fills that out.
I bet you when he fills 93 out, his squat's going to be way ahead of his deadlift.
I think I honestly think he's capable of squatting, in a couple of years' time. If he gets to like 95 kilos, I think he could squat 320.
I think so too.
Because, like, dude squats 280. He's like taller than me, so 5'11", and like he's not like he's muscular as all hell, but he's like long, like we're talking about before.
Yeah, like Heath.
Yeah, he's like that. So like the fact that he squatted 280 at 82 kilos is crazy. And I think when you get another 13 kilos on him, like let's say he really fills out, like. I'm very intrigued to see where he can go. And his deadlift is actually looking really good. It's going up. So, yeah, we'll see what he does. It's going to kind of be dependent on what he weighs in at. But I'm pretty confident. I'm very hopeful for the future at 93 for him. I think, we've been waiting for someone to give Jamie a run. This is the person that's going to do it if he commits to it. Or him and Lee, which we'll talk about Lee in a second.
Any chance of John O'Christie catching him?
Mahaki?
Mm-hmm.
I've coached Jono as well.
He's made some decent progress, eh? Like, he's made some good progress.
Yeah. Well, so Jono's goals, like, just to get on the podium. I think what we're going to see is more of a fight between Jono and Robin.
You coach Jono?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Do you know what would be cool? was if we had those sort of top 3 or 4 lifters from the juniors
Yes.
in here,
Yeah.
that really fills out that top
Yeah.
of the class.
Or if we had Warren or a larger Lee. So yeah, it's interesting. But I think honestly, like the big battle here is kind of Jono, Robin, Lee, and Phil. I think Phil's maybe a little bit behind. I know Lee wants to get himself on that podium, and I know Jono does as well. So that's going to be really interesting. Robin is an interesting proposition because he hasn't competed this year. He got through with dispensation. I think he got COVID.
Yeah, he got COVID, I think, just before. Okay. He was in isolation during
one of the qualifiers there. Yeah. So he is jacked as all hell, and his numbers have blown up a lot. And he comes in generally quite light. So very intrigued to see how he goes. I think, we're going to see around 700 for Jono, Robin, and Lee, and Phil kind of hanging around there. So yeah, I think that'll
be a real tight battle.
Yeah.
And you coach fucking 3 of them. How's that going?
Try to be as objective as possible. 2 of them, just Jono and Lee.
Yeah.
That's the one I've outsourced a little bit more. Like Kedrick's going to help me out with Jono, so he'll kind of keep an eye on Jono's side, and I'll keep an eye. Well, I mean, I'll keep an eye on both of them, but just kind of crunching those numbers there. I'll have Kedrick doing it for Jono. But yeah, so like things looking here, Jamie going over 800, squatting 303. Mahaki, like, what is this guy going to do at 93? And like, what does the future look like there? Is, Jamie going to potentially come, be challenged by him? I don't know.
I mean, it's Mahaki's first year in the Open.
Yep.
So he's got
time and weight.
Got time to grow.
Yep, and weight.
What were you going to say about Lee?
Yeah, so, Lee's another interesting proposition because, in terms of actually challenging Jamie, I think he's right there. But, those of you who know Lee know that, he's coming with a nominated total of 660 from North Islands, but he's actually totaled 750 in the past. So well above that, and a full strength Lee here would be putting a really good fight up against Mahaki, which would have been nice, but unfortunately we're not going to see that. I think Lee weighed in about 84 kilos at...
This is what happens when you rely on one product to keep your powerlifting numbers.
Bro, don't even get me started.
For those of you who don't know, he loves a good up and go, but they have since discontinued the 1 liter bottles, and hence the 6-pack small packets aren't economically feasible to buy anymore.
There's a strong correlation between supply of 1 liter up and goes and Lee's total. Let's just leave it at that. No, but seriously, Lee's a strong as hell lifter, so he's not going to be up there yet, but he's within that sort of Jamie Mahaki conversation. Lee totaled 750 at 91. Realistically, there's 4 kilos to go there. So, if there's a little bit of a water cut, it makes things interesting. I think, the really one that's going to be very intriguing to see what happens is Robin. I think we're going to see a big squat from him. Bench is usually not that great, and then kind of see how he goes there. I'm also very keen to see what Jono does. His training looks really good, especially that bench at 150. I think is going to be easy, and same with the deadlift. So
he touched COVID, eh?
Yeah, a few times somehow. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, that's going to be a nice and hectic session for me. But
is Chris Pickup the guy that lifted 300 way back?
Nah, maybe you're just thinking that because of the name. I think it's just 260. I might be wrong. Are you talking about Chris Bennett?
Maybe it's Chris Bennett.
He's a WP lifter.
Yeah. Right. Cool.
All right, moving on to the 105 kilo weight class. Yeah, so what do you got here, Tap?
Very, very similar story where you got one person who's miles ahead of the curve. So that's Mahaki's brother, Maui. Very, very good lifter. I've got noticeable mentions is Marius making his 105 debut.
Yeah.
You don't coach him, eh?
No.
No, I think he coaches himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Marius coming up from the 93 kilo class this year, making some pretty solid progress and putting him nominated top 3. So he's gonna have I don't know who this Edward guy is, but it looks like it's gonna be a close battle between them two.
So you mean Eddie Dawkins?
He's a cyclist.
He's a Olympic silver medalist.
Wait.
So he's a sprint cyclist.
His first nationals.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So I think and this is his total from provincials. So
he's a real athlete.
Yes,
he's
correct.
A real athlete coming to our sport.
Our sport.
I think potentially he could have more on that total, given that he's probably still getting some newbie gains, maybe.
That's awesome. Yeah, and then I guess there is a big gap from 3rd to 4th. So it's kind of a bit broken. I think from 4 to like 7, including Denzel, is going to be a big fight.
Because Denzel's total's all wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think we should overlook Angus Mackay because his...
I've got a 275 on there.
His best total is 747.5.
747? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Angus took a little bit of a step away from lifting. He got married.
Yeah.
And I think he actually lost a bit of weight there for a while, and he's kind of been working his way back into it. So he's going to be far off his best, which is like 700 plus. I think he's done 280, 150, and then like
747.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Right.
So yeah, totally off his best, but I reckon that with more consistent training, there's probably more there than maybe the total suggests.
Yeah, well, has anyone followed him closely? Because I haven't really.
Yeah, I have. I actually talked to him the other day because he kind of asked me for what to do because he got COVID.
Oh, yeah. Did you tell me what to do as well?
Oh, he did actually. I talked to you about it, didn't I? I thought I said don't lose weight.
Oh, yeah, you said do Bulgarian for 20 days straight. But I don't have 20 days.
Oh, fuck that plan.
That sounds like Jason.
Anyway.
I saw that he is pulling conventional, whereas he used to be sumo. Because I think he's having some knee issues, so that's probably going to be.
So is he going to be conventional for this comp?
I would assume so. He has
yeah.
pulled like over 300 before, but I don't think we'll see that with. Potentially, we won't see that with conventional.
I think.
Yeah, then I think he's seated perfectly where he is. Then
I think we'll just see him going in and having some fun. You know, Angus loves a powerlifting comp, and I think he's spotting and load. I think you can gauge just how seriously he's taking the competition based off of the amount of times that he's spotting and loading before he competes.
He's spotting and loading,
which is a lot from what I've heard. I actually have the sheet, but I can't bother bringing it up. So yeah, I mean, I think he just wants to be amongst it more than anything after a bit of a time away. He also moved. He was down in Invercargill and he's moved up to Christchurch, and I think since then it's just been just not as high a priority. But anyway, on those top 3, I'm intrigued to see what Maui does. That total that he did at regionals, I don't know if that's correct actually.
I feel like him and Jamie King have been battling for that 300 squat like for so long.
No, Maui's squatted 300 a few times.
Oh yeah, but like hasn't gone past it.
Yeah, he squatted 302, 301, 302.
You're like, is that the ceiling? We're gonna go 700 pounds.
Sorry, I just lost my headphones. Went a bit whack.
I think Maui posted a 795 training total in the past week, so he's pretty well on track to be over 800.
Yeah, his bench has been looking really good as of late. His deadlift is just like he just struggles to hold on to it. Like just grip issues at that top end, and like like I think the 310 that he had a crack at regionals, it like blew up really nicely, but it just couldn't hold on to it. And I just think that if he can hold on to it, he's capable of like well over 800. I think he'll be gunning for 800, and he has been for a while now. So it's going to be intriguing to see whether he does it. Pardon me?
You coach him, right?
No, not anymore.
Oh, not anymore.
He's coached by Mikey Davis.
Oh, no way.
Or at least he was. He's a flicks boy.
Right.
But yeah, Eddie Dawkins is an interesting prospect. Former Olympian, and I think he's a Olympic silver medalist.
He's going to be a national silver medalist after this.
And I think he's interesting because he trains very different to what most people do. He only does... I actually talked to him about it, and I don't want to give away too much, but he only maxes out and does... I think it's in the squat and in the deadlift. He'll just go in and max it out, and then he goes home. Well, like, he doesn't do any back-off work, and he hasn't done any rep work for his squat, I think he said, since he was cycling.
Bulgarian brother. This has been the topic of the whole fucking podcast.
But what that makes me think is, like, with good coaching, what could he do? Or, like, with just some volume.
That's the secret. That's going to be my peak.
I can't wait for you to, like... I can't wait for you to, like, come to Nationals in a wheelchair. But yeah, he's interesting anyway. Marius is another interesting one, similar to Maui's grip issues. I think he had a crack at like 290 or 287 or something like that at regionals when he did that total there, and he just couldn't hold on to it twice. He only got one deadlift in.
Always missing on that grip.
Yeah, it's not the first time either. So I'm intrigued to see how that goes. I know he's been working hard on it.
His bench has flown up since he's gone up to 45.
Yeah. That's good, eh? And his squat. Yeah. So that'll be our top three. Will be Maui, and then, well, actually, it could be Marius. Marius or Eddie.
Marius.
I'd pick Marius just because he's just like, it doesn't really have a whole lot of structure about him. And
I'm gonna pick Eddie because I feel like
he's an athlete.
I don't know. He could surprise us.
Yeah, like if Marius can hold on to his last deadlift, which is a big if. He'll beat him.
I think Eddie has outrageous potential. Of course he does. He's like a former Olympian, but like just the way that he trains and he just maxes out, and it's just like, bruh, give your body a little bit of a break and do some rep work.
What if this is actually nothing compared to what he used to do, and like maxing out is actually?
Well, he kind of said like, I think he said like I don't want to misquote him because it's not really fair, but like basically he doesn't feel the need to do any rep work because he did so much of it in cycling, and he's kind of built the base of muscle that he needs. So therefore now he's just trying to work on like the more neurological component, which is just like maxing out.
Right. That makes 100% sense to me.
Chess.
Wait, so literally, let's move on. There's literally the Bulgarian method.
Yeah, it is.
Joke, like it actually is.
Yeah, it is. You're right. But yeah, anyway, I think we can move on from that one. So let's go into the 84. We'll try and hurry this up a little bit because we're on 3 hours now.
I'm hungry, though.
Yeah, you must be. So
it's fully past my bedtime.
Yeah, it's 11. How good. So let's just make a couple of notes here. So 84 class. Yeah, I think this is going to be kind of the Claire show. Yeah, I remember Claire in 2020, and she came third behind what was it? I think it was, oh man, it must be getting late. Let's have a look. She came third behind Amber and who was Amber against? Amber Russell, that is. And someone else. Yeah, no Amber this year. And I think everyone saw her performance and was like, holy shit, this chick strong, and she's going to be something for the future. And I think that's what we're seeing now. I mean, she's coming in with a nominated total of 494, which is 34 kilos ahead of Emily, which is, Emily's a really good lifter. Oh, Jen was the second place. Yeah.
Amber, Jenny, then Claire.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. That was Jen with a hurt back as well. But yeah, like,
watch the space.
She's coming in almost with a 500 kilo total, which is pretty gnarly, and like a massive 205.5 kilo deadlift. So, funnily enough, like Emily and Claire are actually pretty close apart from the squat. Okay, back after some technical difficulties. This should be recording now, but we are basically calling it there after the under 84 kilo class, which is looking pretty much like it's Claire's to win, and then a bit of a battle there between Emily and Hema. So just to round out the females, we have the 84 plus kilo class, which is headed by Jewel Tarsi, who has a 604 kilo total nomination. We also have Reed Ropata, who's got a nomination of 575. However, she has totaled 599, agonizing close to 600 at World Powerlifting. I think it was their nationals a couple of years ago. Yeah, so she's got a big deadlift. So she has pulled 252 flat before, and obviously Jules got that big squat at 254. So it's going to be really intriguing to see how this one. Yeah, it's going to be really intriguing to see how this one plays out. I mean, Ree's total is from early in 2021, so it's hard to say whether she's going to be anywhere near that. She hasn't quite been back up to that since then. So yeah, it could potentially be a battle for first, but we're going to have to kind of see how that one plays out. I think I think I'd have to take Jewel, to be honest. She's had a couple of issues with the deadlift in the past, so Ree will definitely be pulling to kind of potentially for the win. So
yeah, probably gonna back Rydia on this one. Yeah, always love to see her pull for the win, and from her past performance, it seems she's quite capable of it. So.
Yeah, I'm going to say that I think it's going to come down to whether Jewel has kind of corrected the issues that she had on the bench and on the deadlift. Obviously, she's got a massive squat, but I think she's still going to need the other two lifts in order to win. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting. Just as a side note, we've got a little bit of a battle there for third between Amy Christensen and Joanna Tuho. Jeez, good one. Both coming with a 445 nominated total, although I would expect Amy to outdo that total quite confidently. So see how that goes. But that takes us to the end. Sorry, go on.
The record for that class is 6'11", Teresa Simano.
Ooh, yeah.
That's very close.
Yeah, good point. And a notable omission from Dina Hakiai. So I think it would have been good to have her in there. But, big deadlift to pull 260 at Auckland's this year. But I think she's just recently had a child, so she's not competing. But, it just shows the depth of competition at the open class, or in the open class.
Yeah, her total actually is 620, so...
620? Shit.
Would be great to see her next year.
That's like world level sort of stuff. I think she's totaled a lot more than that before as well.
Yeah, I think...
At World Powerlifting Nationals. Yeah, she's totaled 650. Which is nutty. But yeah, we haven't seen that yet, obviously, under our conditions. Anyway, I'm starting to sound like an elitist. So it takes us to the end of the females and gives us the opportunity to talk about the potential best overalls. Yeah, so Evie, you had a couple of calculations there for best overall females.
So as we can probably predict, Carlina absolutely takes it out. She's already on 115, which, as we know, is the highest points score in NZPF history. So she's 5 points ahead of me already with that, which is about 20 kilos that I would have to make up on my total, plus some more for whatever she lifts at nationals. So then there's me sitting at 110, and then Megan Lee at 105, and then Jewel Tarsi is sitting behind Megan Lee at about 104. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if they're going to give prizes for the top 3 or if it's just going to be best overall. But it's interesting to consider anyway.
Normally it is top 3.
Yeah.
Like it is.
There's usually like at least some sort of commendation for being in the top 3. Like, you know, you might get like a trophy or I don't know, like some prize or some sort.
They usually announce it at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be noted.
It will be noted. Yes.
Okay, so that's our females done and dusted. Congrats if you made it this far. Okay, so moving into the final day, the Friday, which leaves us with the 1 session, which, what the hell? I've gone on the wrong thing. That just took me to the wrong link.
It did.
So we have the 120, under 120 men, and we have the 120 plus men also. So starting us off with the under 120s, Evie, are you still coaching Carl?
I am.
Talk us through Carl, because he's an interesting prospect, because how much did he put on his total from like his first comp to his second comp?
A lot. Like
Yeah.
50 kilos.
That guy's a real
50,
dark
60
horse.
kilos, I think. He's really, really strong. I will have to say, as a caveat, that he has a back issue.
Oh, no.
So he's not been able to squat or deadlift to his full potential for most of the last most of this prep, really, which is a real shame. But it is his first nationals, and I think there'll be plenty of chances for him to show what he's got. I don't think he's gonna push Aaron, but I think he should still comfortably come second.
Do you think he'll increase on those numbers?
Yes.
That's good. Those are like 717 is a good total.
Even with a back injury.
Wow. He'll pull it out on the day. He's pretty good.
Are you a magician?
He's pretty good at, again, like, I really have to credit lifters who know how to handle themselves and get the most out of themselves. It always amazes me.
Knows how to show up on the day and compete.
He's an ex-real athlete, right?
I don't know what his background is, actually.
I think TC told me he played league or footy or something. Yeah, at like a high level.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Solomon.
pretty quick. Yeah, he hasn't been in lifting that long, but
yeah, he's made some
talented.
good progression. But anyway, we obviously have Aaron Hills nominated first with 777.5, and he's moved up this year from 105. Yeah, he's miles ahead of the rest. So, I mean, it's his to lose, really. I'm intrigued to see what he does, because he weighed in pretty light at North Islands.
Normally he competes at 105. He decided not to cut, and his lifts have just all gone up.
I think it's about 110 at North Islands.
Once again, it's funny how, going up in a weight class, what it does for your total.
It's like it helps. Very interesting. Yeah. So I think he'll win. In third, we've got a scrap between the NZPF president and John O'Munro. So I don't know how Paul's also been sick, believe it or not, just like everyone else.
It's a 40 kilo difference.
Oh, Aaron Hills was 114.6, so he's not really a 105 anymore. No, I don't know. I don't really know much about Jonathan Munro's lifting, but Paul will be pushing, Paul will be having the stars align if he gets 700, that's for sure.
Do you know, I looked up John O'Munro, but his IG is private, but his bio does say RPE 10 every day, which I enjoyed.
Bulgarian.
I respect that.
So notable mention for that alone.
Yeah.
That is definitely a notable mention.
All right.
A shake-up in this class.
So this is...
Under, 120 plus.
Yeah, so moving into the 120 plus, this is probably one of the more pleasing things to see with the reintroduction of WP/NZPA. So Leading the nominations, we have Terry Malofu with 927.5, which is actually, if you look at his total and you put it up against the best all time in NZPF, it's actually right up there. He's not that far off Joe, considering, he hasn't actually been around that long, Terry.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's young, man.
I feel like I should stop you because he, I believe, is no longer competing.
Terry.
Oh, really?
Terry.
He has sprained his ankle or
His
done
ankle.
something to his ankle. He's in a cast.
Oh, shit. Okay.
What?
Oh, no. That's disappointing.
It's actually heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's what.
I literally saw him like 2 days ago. Oh, man.
Yeah, I think it literally happened today.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay,
guys.
well, there goes that.
So,
But anyway.
that takes Terry out, and also another notable omission, of course, is Seb McLaren.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Which, yeah.
Damn.
Sad
Anyway.
times.
I don't, you know what? I don't really see him anymore, so.
Seb?
Yeah.
I think, having a child.
Right. But he did North Island, so I assumed he was.
I think just hasn't been able to be consistent.
Yeah, I think he'd planned on doing it, and then kind of late decision just was like, nah, it's not.
Right.
I think it was kind of the cost benefit ratio wasn't exactly weighted in the right direction. Just recently having a kid, and I think his training wasn't quite where he wanted it to be. I think if he was going to be there, he wanted to be competitive with the likes of Terry and James and Stan.
It looks like it's TC's class at the moment.
Well, those nominations are not correct. So,
No.
with Terry out, we're assuming Evie's information is correct.
Noticeable mention for Terry is, I think that's from.
I mean, that's from John, so he does coach him, but
Yeah.
I think I saw Terry bench like 245 the other day. It was ridiculous. It was fast.
So that would be cool to see. But anyway, now that kind of leaves us with TC Tongatongo or James Tavanga and Stanley Cocker kind of for the top three there.
So I think James Tavaga's total is completely wrong.
Yep.
He had 883 at Auckland Champs.
Yep.
Oh.
So that's very far off. And also Stan, I think, just made it up because it says 300, 200, 300. So.
Well, Stan had a tough regionals. He hurt himself on his squat. I think he scored a 330, and then he 332.5, and then hurt himself on 347, and he had to end up taking a token 225 deadlift. So yeah, it was a bit unfortunate there. I'm intrigued to see what he does. I don't obviously Stan jumps back and forth between powerlifting and strongman, so it's always like, are we going to see strongman Stan, or are we going to see powerlifting Stan, or what's kind of going on there? So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how that goes. James is a fucking awesome squatter. I think he recently squatted 365, so 800 pounds. So I'm intrigued to see whether he can put that on the platform, and I know that's kind of his lift and where he'll really be looking to make a lot of ground. I'm gutted. I'm fucking gutted that Terry's not lifting.
Yeah, so by the looks of it, it's going to be pretty straightforward then, right? Like James 1, Stan 2, TC 3?
Oh, no, I would say Stan. Well, Stan's totaled over 900.
This one's 847, right? That's still a lot away from 880.
Stan?
Yeah.
No, he's totaled 900 before.
WP total?
921.
At WP?
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think he's that level right now.
Top shape. I've also been told that Tissy's training is going very well, though. So
yeah, TC does look strong, actually, and so does David. I don't think he'll be quite pushing it with those guys, but he's nominated 200, 100, 200. But he looks strong. He pulled 300. He's benched, I think, 200-ish, and then he's also squatted 280 or something. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. Alan's strong too. Sione, he's got a big deadlift, 320. So
can't find any info on David.
He did Auckland's this year. I think that was his first ever comp. He trains at GS.
Did he do it under a? Oh, yeah. That David.
Yeah.
Why is it on open powerlifting?
Yeah, I don't know. Eh? That's weird.
Maybe he probably listed under a different name.
He might have. Yeah,
Yeah, I've
have
got a
longer name.
different. I think maybe he's David Pelico in open powerlifting.
Oh, okay, that would do it. Because obviously he competed at 120 plus. Yeah, Pelico. He totaled 775.
Yeah,
So, and he was only 133 kilos, so he's not like a full blown.
Man, these guys, honestly, watching these guys train, like they're just so fun to watch, man. They just make so much progress.
Yeah,
and it's like it gets us like old boys like inspired to like train hard.
actually try.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's good to see the enthusiasm, eh?
Definitely.
So yeah, I think I'll have to pick. I'd pick Stan. Stan's got a big deadlift. You know, he's pulled 370 in the past. I think, you know, his squat's going to be right up there with James's. He's squatted 356 in the past. I think he actually he benched like 215 or something like that recently. So it's like a 10 kilos on most he's ever benched. My brain might be fading me right now, but I'm pretty sure it's something like that. So James is really going to put on a show in the squat. And I think that'll be his thing. And it just kind of comes down to what we're going to see from Stan, whether he's been training and he's been doing strongman, or whether, you know, he's actually been like, okay, I'm going to really push hard for nationals. And it sucks that Terry's not going to be there because, you know, with Stan's best total being 921 and Terry's being 927, you know, that's a fight, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it sucks, but you know, injuries happen.
It's kind of like a very anticlimactic Nats, where potential.
Well, who's out now? You've got Chris out. Who else was out? There's one else you threw on me.
Amy's
Amy
out.
Lee.
Terry's out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
You're out of strength. Okay, best overalls. Who got?
I mean, again, it's sort of it's unfortunate with Chris out of the running because he really could have given Tim a run for his money. They were only 1 point between the two of them, but it's Tim with.
Was it that close? 1 point between two of them.
There was 1 point between the two of them. Yeah, so that would have been pretty sick.
Yeah,
but
that sucks.
Tim's sitting at 112 on his total from YBops. Jamie King would be the next behind with 103. So he's got.
Then is it Maui or
Kavwa? Also on 103.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I mean, there's probably a bit of a battle there for.
Who's next after that?
Second and third. Then it's Mahaki.
Yeah.
And then it's Maui.
Right.
With 99 and 97.
So a little bit off, yeah.
So, yeah.
It's going to be interesting, actually, the kind of battle.
If John beats Kavwa, then John could be in there.
True. John would have to go over 700, though. No, that would be if he goes over 700.
Assuming Kavwa gets 700.
Yeah. Interesting. Be interesting between Jamie and Kavwa. Obviously, we'll have a look at that. Anywho, okay, a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. If you've made it this far, just to note so people have the information, this will be a large factor in qualifying for Commonwealths. So if you win your class, you are very likely to end up doing Commonwealths in the A team. It's not locked in because there are other things to consider, such as the dispensations that we talked about, but you know, it's going to put you in the best position to qualify. Additionally, there will be something I wanted to talk about is there will be a jury. What that means is that you can contest lifts, and there's actually a jury for every single session. So if a lift goes, let's say Evie's squat is 2 red lights and 1 white light. As a coach, and assuming as a lifter as well, because we can't assume everyone's going to be coached, you can contest the lift and say, hey, I thought that was a good lift. What's going on there? And then the jury can make a decision as to whether they overturn that or not. Additionally, if someone makes a lift that you are competing against and it's a 2-1 decision in their favour, you can also contest that and say, hey, look, I don't think that was good enough. Yours, please. So I just wanted to kind of point that out there just for people who might not be aware of that those are things that we want people to use. That is the thing we want people to use. And I know there's been a lot of questions around Commonwealths. And actually something else I wanted to say on Commonwealths was there will be an A team and a B team. So there's going to be, a couple of, potentially a couple of people per weight class. But there's more details around like how many people per weight class. And there's going to be a little bit of a selection committee around that stuff as well. So basically, if you win, you're in pretty good stead. If you come second, you're maybe going to make it. You're going to be eligible for selection, just kind of dependent on, once again, people who are applying for dispensations, etc.
Yeah.
You guys got anything to say on that?
Who applies to compete as well? It always comes down to how much interest there is.
Yeah.
Which we imagine that there will be lots, hopefully.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, we are hosting Commonwealths in Auckland in December, and can we talk about the venue?
Ooh, probably, because I think by the time this comes out,
And we're trying to get it out, aren't we?
yeah, it'll be at Vodafone Event Centre in Manukau in the BNZ Theatre.
Oh, I thought it was okay.
Yes, not anymore. We won't talk about it.
Guys.
The second pick.
Yeah,
so
okay.
For those of you that were around, for those of you that were around in 2013, that was where Commonwealth was hosted in 2013.
And it's going to be sick.
Yeah, it's a really nice sort of amphitheater scenario where it's got tiered seating.
You feel like you're performing to a crowd.
A crowd. You kind of will be, I guess.
If that's your thing.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that can finish us off and we can wrap it up here. So, if you are at Nationals and you want to take a photo with Evie, she's more than happy to have you take a photo with her. If you want to tell Jack that Bulgarian's crap, then feel free to go up and say that to him. But thank you both.
To actually do this for Nats now.
Thank you both for coming in and chilling out and spending 3.5 hours talking shit about powerlifting. Appreciate it, because I'd hate to do something like this on my own.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's been fun.
Yeah, I think we'll split this episode up.
You owe me a sandwich because I'm fucking hungry, man.
I'll buy you a beer, even better.
I wish we'd split it up for real for us.
Bro.
All right, thank you for listening, everyone. See you later.